Should cry. It wouldn't be sorry.
I mean, I can't think, I'm shocked with them. I just. He's my. And it is here, here.
Stand by, guys.
Here, but then I have here, here.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the planning board meeting for August the 27th, special meeting at 6:30. We're gonna call the meeting to order. I apologize that there's no agenda, but we'll have one person on the posted agenda, but I would like to open the meeting, call the meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. for August the 27th. Okay, I forget things, but I think that's the same person. Well, you just call me again. All right, so, I need a roll call. So this is gonna be me. Linda, could you do the roll call for me?
I don't see no one, there's one person. You should.
Okay. Randall,
Present.
Dr. Young,
Present.
Gabby,
Present.
Gabrielle. Jean,
Present.
Teresa, present. Veronica.
Present.
So we're all present, they do have a quorum. Now, this is a special meeting for the doc application. And it's a meeting for the planning board and the applicant. We will not be taking any comments from the public. The public hearing for the doc has been closed. Any comments that are coming in, that came in after, cannot be part of the record. Right? Any comments that's coming in for the doc after the public hearing is closed?
Yeah, I mean, once public hearing is closed, it closes the record.
It closes the record on public comments. So I've been seeing that we've been receiving a couple of things. So it's just fair to any applicant that's coming in when we have a public hearing.
Tricia, can you talk a little louder? I'm sorry.
Do we have a microphone?
We do not.
Oh, man. Okay. So we're going to allow the applicant.
We're gonna.
First, we gotta make an adjustment to the agenda. The posted agenda did not include 70-72 North Fifth Street. This is something that the planning board heard back in July about the subdivision.
Mhm.
Now, when I looked at this application, to put it on the agenda, it was not an application there. The fees had not been paid, and it was back and forth with the applicant paying the fees. And I think Monday they did pay that fee. And secretary didn't get a chance to put an agenda, but I'm being asked to put it on the agenda now. So is that something we want to do?
I can just explain it. The board referred them, this board, planning board, you referred them to the zoning board of appeals because they need an area variance. Because what they want to do is put, they want to subdivide their lot, to 2 lots, but they need an area variance. But the zoning board of appeals has to wait for the planning board to issue a neg deck. So they can't issue or consider or vote on variance until you do seeker. Here, it's an existing house on an existing lot with a, an imaginary line that would be going through it. So if you can do seeker tonight, that would help the application go forward. Otherwise, you put it off until the September meeting, and then, the zoning board will have to come after that.
Do you have a draft resolution?
Yes.
Okay, that's that.
Yeah.
You wanna, I think we should. Let's get
I
out
have to disclose that I have not had the opportunity to read the information on this application. because when I did look to read it, they didn't have a lot of things that were required. So, and all of this came in today and Monday, and I just haven't gotten a chance, so it would be not part of my way to vote on something I know nothing that I haven't had a chance to look at. So, but that doesn't mean you can't, because all of you were here in July,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so all of you were here in July.
So it's up to the board if you're comfortable moving forward on seeker, they can go to the zoning board or not.
Yeah, can you read? I feel okay, if I'm reading the speaker questionnaire.
Yeah, we got
Wanna read
to
them?
see.
No.
Okay,
Okay, we gotta go over to see.
Okay, well, we're gonna do this, right?
Well, first, are we, considering it?
Yeah, you okay? Yeah. Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, number one, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? No, or moderate impact?
I said no.
No, okay. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of land? Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No.
No,
Will the proposed action have an impact on the critical environment? It's not a critical environment, let's just get that. 5. Will proposed action result in an adverse change in existing level of traffic or infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walking? No. Will it cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation techniques? No.
no,
Will it impact existing public, private water supplies? No.
no.
Okay. Will it impair the character or quality of historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? Again, it's an existing structure.
No,
No. Will it result in adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, groundwater, flora, fauna?
no,
Will the proposed action result in an increase in potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage?
no.
Hazard to environmental resources and human health? No. Okay, so you've checked everything, no? If you're ready, we have a resolution. Adopting determination of significance and accepting the sketch, and it says,
Did everybody get a copy?
now therefore be it resolved for the reasons set forth in the EAF, which you just reviewed. And supplemental materials, the planning board hereby adopts a negative declaration. Finding that the project as proposed will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts and that a draft environmental impact statement will not be prepared. Be it further resolved, the planning board accepts the sketch plan and classifies it as a minor subdivision.
So motion to,
I make a motion that we, declare this with a neg deck for property 72 North Fifth Street, the subdivision.
second that. I'm gonna abstain on this one.
Are we voting?
Yes,
You gotta call it.
yeah, I'm calling.
She seconded.
Yeah, I got the record, I got that.
Yeah.
All in favor? Except for me, I'm saying.
Great, okay, I got it.
Alright,
Okay, so, they can now proceed to the zoning board, and if they get the variance, they can come back. If they don't, they'll have to reconsider.
okay. Now we're gonna move on to the application. The one that's gonna adopt it is the doc application. We're gonna ask the applicant to come back, and if you want, come up, and if you want to give us a history on it. And then this is just for the planning board that we've done our homework and.
So, good evening, everybody. I'm TJ Ruane, attorney for A. Colarusso and Son Inc. I'm here with J.R. Hefner, Bob Colarusso, through Colarusso as well. We're here, our application was for a bulkhead repair at the commercial dock owned by Colarusso on Front Street, City of Hudson. What JR's passing out now are pictures that, I know some of you haven't actually been to the dock with us, but those who haven't, these are pictures of what the dock looked like beforehand and then after the repair. As you can see, the dock was in disrepair at the time it was made, which was what triggered the need to conduct a repair.
Can you explain on this picture? I mean, you showed us when we did the site visit. I don't see on this picture where.
Oh, you might not have both for size.
Oh, I see. This is a before.
Okay.
Yeah, you just have the after.
And I just have the before. I don't submit to it.
Before.
Absolutely.
Have you after?
Okay, see. There's no way we could put it up for people to see.
I'm going to hold them up for a second.
Yeah, well,
Wait a minute, I'm going to have this one.
This one?
well, this is really. It's really good. Let's look at, okay? So. Okay. So this right here. Is
Correct.
now. This.
Correct.
What is the reinforcements?
Yeah.
Steel?
That's it, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And at the time you were reinforcing, you would. Did you not know that you're coming to the planning board?
No, at the time, we were advised that they did not need a permit from the planning board. So the client went out, Colorado went out, they do need permits, state permits, federal permits to conduct, because it's on the Hudson River and it is a bulkhead. So they went out, got those permits, completed the repair after the fact, were notified by the code enforcement officer that they needed to come to the planning board. Or that they needed to have come to the planning board to seek a permit to complete the repair.
You just stated that the application was for a permit for the repair.
Correct.
I was under the impression that you were here for a conditional use application for the entire operation.
So. Our position is, and I'm saying position because the members of the planning board have taken different positions, members of the public have taken a different position, so. The dock repair triggered an obligation for Colorado to come before the planning board to get a conditional use permit. Correct.
Right.
Yes.
So the application is for a conditional use permit for the entire, not just for the repair. It's a big difference because we're not just reviewing this work that's been done, we're reviewing the entire operation.
So although the conditional use permit would be for the dock, the conditions that can be imposed are limited to those directly related to the repair.
That is not what the judge decided in the last lawsuit. So I think we are empowered to impose conditions for the entire operation as per the zoning code of the city of Hudson.
And
So I think this is really important for us to get straight before we continue with the review, so we all know exactly what our task
Okay.
is.
What we want you to know is this is a non-working section of the bulkhead. Okay, we don't work in this section. If you're looking from Rick's Point, this is a section that was only done for safety. Okay, well, no, you can shake your head or whatever you gotta do. I'm here to help you understand, because you're new.
Oh,
Okay,
I appreciate that so
Let
much.
me interject something. If there's anything here that any one of us don't understand, then, we can consult our attorney.
I'm pretty sure I do understand that we have the code in front of
I'm
me.
not insinuating that you don't. I'm
I-
just saying, I'm talking to everybody,
Okay, I
okay?
appreciate that you want to help and I'm eager to hear a lot. I just am asking that we all clarify what it is that we are here to do. And as far, I've reviewed all the documents, including the last lawsuit, and I have the code in front of me. And as far as I can understand it, and as far as it's written in the city code, under law, we are obligated to review the entire operation for a conditional use permit.
And
Am I wrong about that?
Oh,
No.
but this, no, but as I believe, when the court brought the decision. The previous board combined everything, but then they bifurcated it, so that's why we did the whole road first. And now we're doing the dock.
Yes, but the dock is the dock operations, it's not just the repair. We're not just imposing conditions on the repair, which is what you just said.
Yeah,
I
okay,
just think it's really important that we all get on the same page.
is the
Because
dock.
the application that is on Muni Collab right now, that is set before us, says that you guys are applying for a CUP for the repair.
Right.
So I just am clarifying, so we're all on the same page, that it is for the entire operation.
I understand it that way, and
And
I'm sure everybody,
I just-
anybody that don't understand it that way. Correct. We all understand it that way.
Right. So the conditions that we impose, if I may contradict you, are for the entire operation, not just the repair of the dock. Is that right?
Yes, we all,
Okay.
yeah, that is.
So maybe I'm also
We all-
here to help
we
you
all
understand.
understand. We all-
Well, he just said
I know,
insinuating
I know what he said, but sometimes we just, people say things that, like, we get public comments that we just don't, you know.
But this
We
is
know-
the public, this is the applicant, and
I
I wanna make
understand,
sure
but
that we're all on the
We
same
do
page.
understand that we are reviewing the entire.
Okay, great.
project.
Great,
and when
and
you-
and
when
you guys
you-
understand that too, right?
Like I said, our position is the condition
Right.
can only relate to.
And they can take any position they want, but we know what we're doing.
But that's
We know
not
what we're
helpful to
doing.
us if that's your position.
When you
because-
say us, are you just speaking about yourself?
No, us as a planning board, it's not helpful to us as a planning
think we
board,
all
but
I think
No.
that if anybody has an opportunity to form their own opinion and postulate their own
That's
opinion,
true.
we don't have to agree with it.
Yeah.
And I would hope that we're not making the assumption that everybody agrees with what he just said.
Right.
So,
That's what I thought,
you know,
but
so,
isn't it a problem if the applicant thinks that they're here for another reason than we think they're here for? It's just gonna make everything more
Not
complicated.
when we know that, not when we know what we're doing.
Okay, great,
No,
okay,
does not make a problem.
Okay.
We know what we're doing.
okay, great.
Okay, so, you wanna go over this one? Keep going?
That's,
So we know what we're here for, so
Yeah.
any questions to our applicant from the planning board? We're going, and that's all of you. So, anybody have questions?
I have questions, but
What,
Go for it, Gabby.
I'll hold my tongue for a moment.
okay, so what is
Just
it?
work with us all, that's what I'm saying, everybody's got their chance.
So when we did the first, when we did the whole road.
Right.
And, we made decisions really based on getting the trucks off the road, as we all agreed that we wanted to out of the city streets in Hudson.
Yep.
And that extends from the quarry to South Ferry, right? Correct?
what extent?
The whole road.
I guess it depends what you consider the whole, the property owned by Colorusso.
Yeah, the private whole road
The
that we.
private haul road goes, I don't know where the exact end of it is, but it's somewhere along.
South Front, that's it, right, South Front Street,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So. In our original, so we had decided on 284 trucks, total truck trips,
Correct, maximum daily.
maximum daily truck trips. On that whole road.
Correct.
Now, I guess my question is, and I know you've heard this a lot from various sources. But when I look at the truck traffic going over the tracks into your, into your facility. Which is to me a different segment, because obviously that comes in contact with the public, that's a public road. That's Broad Street, it is,
Yeah,
it's Broad Street.
Yeah.
So when I look at that level of traffic on Broad Street. It seemed counter to what the zoning code, the intent of the zoning code was for limited industrialization. Like, when we decided and went back and forth on the conditions for the Hall Road, that was for a private road, that was for a road that was not dealing with the public. Now we're with the public, and I did this because if we looked at the 284, just bear with me, because I made a little animation. Tell me, visualize what this looked like. Because if we're dealing at that level, let me put it up here. If we're dealing at that level, at 284, that's a truck every 2 minutes. Rough. And let's get back over here. Sorry.
Because it was my understanding they never hit that limit.
Right, but that was, they said that they hit it once or twice, but it wasn't a regular thing. I just want to clear this up as we're going forward. Let's see. Oh, well, give me a second, we got the process. So. So this. So that's the dock. This is recreational area, that's the parking. So what I did is I wanted to see what that looked like per hour. Because it's like 30 trucks that will be going per hour. And this is not including the train stop. So when I went to the train station, he says they stop within the hours that you're gonna be, the train actually stops about 15 times. You know, those roads close about 15 times. So this is what it looks like. The blue are your trucks going to your operation. The other ones are going to the parking lot, the other ones are going to the recreation area. That's per hour. That, for me, seems like an excessive amount of traffic in that area. For that purpose, and because one of the criteria was making it safe for the recreational area down there. And so I want to discuss that aspect of the dock application. Because in my mind, this is a different thing, and that number, as we looked at for the industrialization level, which was approximately 2011, but they really weren't exact details as to what that level was. So we had to get to like 2015, and in 2015, I think that was like 97 trucks per level, 97 or 114, somewhere around there. I just want to talk about that. From my perspective, that's one of the critical issues, as well as pollution, as well as, you know, screening and those other issues. But I want to dwell a minute on the truck traffic and what your position is. What's the number that you're looking for? Because I know the number that I believe that is suitable, but what's the number that you're thinking about?
In respect to what?
In respects to trucks that go into Colorado, that cross the tracks. So per hour, number of trucks per hour that cross the tracks and go into the dock.
So we're not requesting any number of trucks. So so go back to the haul road permit where you started. So we applied in 2016 to improve the haul road, because at the time, trucks would have to come through the city of Hudson, and if I'm repeating stuff everybody knows, I apologize for those who don't, but have to come through the city of Hudson and return on the haul road, which is privately owned road.
Right.
So the idea was, following the suggestion of the LWRP and the comp plan, was to improve the haul road by making it wider, so passable both ways, to remove Colorusso trucks off the street. So the LWRP and the comp plan suggested that, but it takes a private individual to pay for that project.
Right.
Because it's private land. So Colorusso, seeing that it would be more efficient for their business and obviously be a significant benefit, applied to the planning board to improve the haul road. So same conditional use permit that is actually.
So now you can go two ways and.
Correct. And so in the haul road application, the planning board agreed that Colorusso, if they improved the haul road and agreed to remove all of the trucks off the streets. So the haul road is complete now and it's being used. So in exchange for improving the haul road and removing all the trucks off city streets, Colorusso would be allowed a maximum a daily trip maximum of 284 trucks. So based on that, Colorusso got their permit, invested roughly, I would say, $2 million into improving the haul road, and now that project is complete. So this permit allows for 284 trips between the quarry and the dock.
Well, that's my issue, because the permit allows for that volume of traffic on the whole road.
Well, it doesn't say that, it says between the quarry and the dock. And I mean, I think it would be semantics to say we can bring 284 trucks to a point in South Front Street where our property line ends, but we can't bring them through the door of the dock through a commercial district that only passes, you know, a handful of commercial businesses across a railroad track that has no fencing up. And then those trucks are now an issue.
But I think.
Once we built the haul road, okay, so once we built the haul road, we vested our constitutional rights to that permit to use the haul road at 284 trucks.
Right.
And so that's our position.
Okay,
But-
Randall, let me interject something. We have a resolution involving that date of December the 23rd, where in our, in granting them the conditional use for the whole road, it says from the quarry.
Speak up,
To
Teresa,
the-
please.
Okay,
But the address that they give is South Front Street. Is that not the address that?
175 South One.
Right, so when we did it, it was my understanding that we were dealing with the whole road that takes you down to South Front Street. Because I didn't feel that we were
That's-
legislating, that we were permitting what happens on a public street. The public street is different than the hallway. It's part of the route that you need to get to. I get that. But in my mind, I had no problem with the amount of traffic that was going on your own private road. You made it wide enough, you made it safe enough. Whatever you guys do at that part of the operation seemed fine. But as I just demonstrated, that level of traffic, two trucks, one truck every 2 minutes, at that level, at 284, is excessive down there by the waterfront and contrary to what the LWRP says in terms of limited industrialization. It's, I don't know any other way to.
No, I understand. But I don't understand how we could have got a permit that would allow us 284
Yeah.
truck trips, but that permit doesn't permit us to go on South Front Street with those trucks? Like,
But isn't it true that the entire permit is now under review? So you were Hudson was operating with a non-conforming use permit, right? But then once the.
no, we had no permit.
Well, okay, so currently you have no permit to be operating,
Correct,
right? So you're operating without a permit.
because we don't need a permit.
Why don't you need a permit?
We've applied for a conditional use permit,
Right,
so the planning board can add additional conditions on
Right.
our operation.
So
But
you
we're
do
not
need a-
here asking permission to operate, because we're a pre-existing non-conforming use. So because we existed before the enactment of the zoning code, we continue to exist after the enactment of the zoning code in the same manner. So that's why those conditions can't impose, that's why the planning board cannot impose conditions on the operations of our business, because we are a pre-existing non-conforming use.
but your non-conforming use status no longer exists after you did the repair without a permit.
That's not true.
Can I read you the code?
You can go ahead and read the code.
Because I'm just trying to understand how we have such different understandings of what we're doing here. So this is from 325-17.1 for Riverfront District. Section D1. Continuation of existing commercial dock operations for the transport and shipment of goods and raw materials, including loading and unloading facilities and storage of such goods and raw materials, and associated private roads providing ingress and egress to and from such commercial dock operations, as such existed on the effective date of this in 2011, so that's another issue. Any existing commercial dock operation may continue to operate as a non-conforming use until such time one or more of the actions or events specified in subsection D is proposed to be undertaken. So that's the repair. So your non-conforming use can operate until that happens. Where one of the actions or events specified in subsection D above is proposed, in addition to the provisions of Article 8, and as more fully set forth in 325-17.1F2, the planning board shall impose additional conditions on such use as may be necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of residents living in close proximity to commercial docks and the public while recreating and using public facilities adjacent to commercial docks as authorized in the LWRP. So how am I misinterpreting that?
You have counsel to advise you on that, I'm not.
Okay, I think-
Give you legal advice.
That's true.
Normally, an applicant would come to this board before the work was done. And so they operate as a non-conforming use until such time as you approve a conditional use permit for the project, at which time they then come under the conditional use permit. Because the way that provision reads, it assumes the use is going to continue with reasonable conditions placed on top of it.
Right.
Here, when they did the work first, and they're getting the permit second, due to, whatever the reason was that they didn't get the permit in the first place. So, believe that the zoning enforcement officer / building inspector has issued them a notice of violation, which allows them to continue operating but they have to pursue this permit.
Right, and the permit
So they're operating as pre-existing non-conforming use until such time as you give them a permit or don't give them a permit, whatever the case may be. But that is how it's operating. It's backwards from what it should have been.
Right, so. I guess I'm just confused about this idea that we can't impose any conditions.
He's not claiming that.
Okay. Okay. So back to the Hall Road issue though. Does this CUP include the operation in total, including the Hall Road and
No.
truck trips?
It does not include all of it.
Okay, so the truck trips are relevant only in as much as they have to do with the operations at the dock, which are under, is that correct?
You are reviewing, right, everything about the operation of the dock.
So that it does include truck trips.
Well, I mean, trucks have to go into and out of the site.
Right, so. Does this help Randall with your concern at all? That,
So just to add, I think sidetrack there in the middle, so. When we did the traffic analysis, the purpose of that analysis was to choose what a maximum. A maximum trip daily amount would be. That we picked a number that they had only hit once or twice, we said that'll be the maximum number. And then to look at the entire route between the quarry and the Hall Road, or between the quarry and the dock to the gate of the dock. And that traffic analysis found that it would not have a significant adverse impact. And that's what supported the town of Greenport's neg deck. So setting that aside, when we went to the Hall Road. We were specifically granted by the planning board a maximum of 284 trips daily from the quarry to the dock. And that's why we built the Hall Road. So that's why I'm saying our rights have now been vested in those truck trips and the Hall Road.
I understand, but when we looked at it, our concern initially was getting the trucks off the street. You had a viable solution.
Yeah.
As I read the resolution and as I understood it, that was going to Front Street. I think when we look at it and say, you have to say that 2 trucks, and I know this is the maximum, but because we're now giving this use permit, which then will be if you sell the property or sell the business, that will be carried on, and whatever, not discounting your intentions at this moment. But what other business intentions will be is that they will be permitted to have a truck every 2 minutes for the entire, 9 hours of your daily operation. That's a lot. As I look at the scope of what we're able to legislate, and I look at going into a recreational area, taking into account that train stops, right? That train stops traffic both ways. Once or twice an hour. So that means if you hit that maximum, I know that you're not at that maximum, but if you were to pursue that maximum, you would have trucks backing up. Either on both sides, you'd have 2, maybe, because let's say that the train stops about 5 minutes, right?
That's the exact same facts we presented to the board when we submitted the Hall Road application. And the Hall Road application didn't presume that the trucks were gonna disappear when we hit Front Street and we left the Hall Road. The Hall Road application and the review of that considered from the quarry to the dock, and the permit says so. So I'm just a little concerned now that the planning board has taken the position that, okay, you spent the $2 million because we told you can have 284 truck trips. But now you can't have 284 truck trips.
Well, again,
Can I clarify too?
Sure.
I think we use a lot of we and everything. Let's just use it that a particular individual.
I'm speaking for myself, and as my understanding of, again, what we were doing with the whole road. As opposed to, again, this last mile that does go through, an area that is a public area. Which people, kids, are engaged. That seems to me to need a greater level of scrutiny. And again, because if you're saying this is an aberrant amount and that you really don't feel like you're gonna be hitting that often, and that this was, that this is an exceptional amount, and I understand why you put it in there. But again, as I look at it, and as I look at the documentation, which indicates that it stops on South Front Street, I never envisioned that this was going to be that many trucks crossing the tracks by the recreational
So where
area.
would the
and
trucks
making
have
them-
gone?
Huh?
This absolutely, then where would the trucks have gone?
I mean,
They thought they were gonna dump and stuff, I mean, it's a little ridiculous to say, your last permit, we didn't know that the trucks were gonna go to the dock.
No, I didn't say that.
So how were they supposed to get to the dock? There's only one route, we presented the route, we presented the emergency routes. The permit allows us 284 trips between the quarry and the dock, based on a traffic study, which is the only expert evidence in the record today that show that it's not a significant environmental impact.
Okay.
And since then, they've also opened up an additional access route to the public cost. So whether the trucks are on city streets. I mean, we started with trucks on city streets, and now there's no trucks on city streets except for 900 feet of a commercial district.
Can I,
That's just to be clear.
can I interject? We do have a resolution that says that they have a right for, when we did the dock application, to go from the quarry to the dock. Now, I just want to ask you, what exactly is your question and what would you like? What is your request?
Well, again, my request is in light of what we have to decide in terms of the safety and in terms of the engagement with the public, kids and the whole idea of how this impacts the recreational area, I think that amount of traffic flies in the face of what the LWRP's intent was when they said that they wanted a limited industrialization level. That's my point.
Then why was the hauler permit granted with 284 maximum truck traffic?
Again, I don't know what they understood. I understood it to be
Yeah, the truck-
as a private road. That's,
Let me just speak up a little bit. I've reviewed the documents, traffic study. When you guys reviewed the study, there was a map proposed, and I can share that map with you. That map was given to the planning board to review as part of the resolution. That map clearly shows going, I don't know what the numbers, but I'm just saying, to say it stopped at Front Street is wrong. It went right to the dock, and this map clearly shows it going over the railroad tracks to the dock. That was part of the submittal.
And I'll just put this, and we can move on to another topic, so I do want to hear all the questions and.
Yeah, it's.
We're finally at this
And I
point, and I
just
want
want
to
to say, these are questions coming from individuals of the board for something that, and they may feel understanding, so.
Yeah,
This is
so
our time.
based on the traffic
What's
study,
that?
can you send me that?
we disagree with.
Yes, it's the accusation.
That was part of the resolution that was approved, clearly showing the traffic studies all show it going from the dock to the port.
It's also the site thing you approved, the roadway improvement plan for it to the dock. That's what you approved for the improvement permit. There is a site plan that you approved. Showing that now.
So we dealt with a lot of paperwork and a lot of maps and went back and forth a lot, so, yeah, you see.
I mean, I promised the resolution
But I have the resolution.
Okay.
I know what it says.
Yeah.
And I want to remind you that, that your name is on that, so.
I understand, but do you have the address of the quarry is 175 South Front Street?
No, the dock,
Doc.
I'm not sure, Doc.
Yeah.
That is the address of that.
correct.
Okay.
Craig Manning also did a study. Your study and theirs are within a minute, they were at 3 minutes. And with what you showed there, I think you showed all in about a few seconds.
Yeah, it's better, obviously
So
5 times.
it's a total difference, it's just, I want you to just understand, it's a total different look if we sat here 2 to 3 minutes. Waiting for one of those dots to move, because we did that a few years back, it's definitely a different perception.
I have a question for our council.
Okay, wait, you finished?
For the moment, yeah.
Okay.
Does anybody else have a
Yeah,
question?
go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm happy to wait. I'm wondering,
This is for the council?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wait, counts me or?
No.
Oh.
I'm wondering how we as a planning board reconcile the issue of what this part of the code that I just read that says that commercial dock operations can exist as they did in 2011, when we have no data as to what that was. So how can we legally even address this without that data?
Okay, so there's a few ways to look at it. One is that language is somewhat broad, so does it mean as it existed as a use in 2011, so it was gravel then, it's gravel now? Or did it mean, you know, the specific hours of operation in 2011? It can be read in numerous ways. If we were talking about traffic though, the best that I could do to think through that issue is that this local law was adopted after a full EIS was done and the LWR did. So there were numbers in those documents that the city had looked at, that it was relying on when it came, when it did the studies, which were the basis for this zoning a few years later. So that's one way to look at it, is, you know, what was the city looking at when they were considering the zoning? But another way to look at it is that it's not that specific, and it just says as it operated as a use.
Can you explain those numbers, what the numbers were at that time, what they?
So I don't have it in my head, but I can look for it. I believe I have it somewhere.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it before, I just wanted to.
Yeah, I just don't want to say the wrong thing.
As such uses existed, so you think that this language is sort of up to interpretation?
I mean, I'm saying it can be read several ways, and if you want legal advice, we can go to an attorney-client session, but.
Okay, so we're not talking about truck traffic now, but we are talking about what's going on at the docks. So as it existed in 2011, we're not totally clear on whether we're talking about the exact number of barges or the amount of material being moved or what type of material. We're not sure if it has to be limited to.
I mean, if that were the case, arguably, there would have been some kind of baseline report at the time that this was done. So everyone in the city who voted on the zoning would have known what they were voting. Right? I don't know if that information.
Okay. Okay, so putting that aside. Do you know how many tons of material are being moved at the dock currently?
I know, we can get the board that number.
So I guess
I'm not sure.
I just feel like it's hard to even understand how to begin this without like a plan proposed as to what this operation is doing, right? Because we're trying to review an application for an operation. And all I have here are two pictures of a dock before and after. It doesn't have any information about what is being done at the dock, what the operations are.
So
Can I
all
say
of those,
something?
all that information is in the record. Our application was submitted in 2016. It was deemed complete in 2017.
Right.
We've submitted project narratives.
So it's the numbers are exactly the same as they were in 2017?
I don't know, and
But that seems really relevant because it's 2025 and we're reviewing the application now.
right,
So-
but the plan, but I guess, what numbers exactly am I apologize?
What's going, we have to review an application for a conditional use permit for the operations at the dock. So that means amount of material, number of barges.
No, it does not. The planning board has no authority to impose conditions relevant to the amount of materials that are being shipped. So the planning board governs the use of a site. So the amount of materials that are being transshipped to the site is irrelevant for purposes of imposing.
What about the
conditions.
types of materials?
They considered that in 2011, as your council explained, and based on that record and the EIS that was done then, they limited the types of materials to goods and raw materials.
But we're not allowed to impose any further conditions on that, is that right?
So we're in like a. Again, because the judge has made findings about this use. There's some expectation that this use is going to continue.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of what
Yeah,
the use
sure. I mean,
is.
It's goods and raw materials. I mean, if you're looking for a condition that says you can't haul radioactive waste. I think we could talk about whether that's appropriate, but if we start getting into, 5-inch cement versus 7-inch or however. You measure cement, that's going to be intrusive on the operation of the type of business that exists.
Okay, I guess I'm just trying to understand how this process is supposed to work, because this is the first time I've been present for a conditional use application. Every other application that I've been present for, somebody comes in, they have a big old plan with lots of information about what's happening, when, all this stuff that we can then respond to.
So we had a plan and there were plans and I don't know why they're not here tonight. There was a site plan that showed, that we had gotten to points where there were limitations on how high the gravel piles would be. And we had, the engineer had studied those and talked about them, so there are maps, they're not.
It's in the record.
It's
But
in the
those
record.
are, but those are 8 years old, so I'm wondering what the operation is today that we are supposed to be reviewing and possibly.
But I think it's the same information, the application hasn't changed, the only reason that the applicant is still here is because the city has not made a decision.
But, so do we have data that the operation is exactly the same today as it was 8 years ago?
But it's irrelevant then.
When you say,
Well, why is it-
when you say operation, I just wanna be clear, because we're talking about a whole bunch of different things. Are we talking about the use of the property, or are you talking about the, like, what is being brought to and from? Are you talking about like, the hours of operation? I don't know all of it.
So I can probably explain that.
Okay.
I think we've been explaining a lot of it narratively, since we've submitted certain documents that were requested about specific items. So truck traffic came up, we were talking about the whole road, we submitted a truck study, we talked about that. There was no, I guess there was site plan submitted in the past, that generally described what's going on, then we brought the planning board down to the site, gave them a tour of what's going on, so it is. Something that we have explained to the board before outside of the record, so the dock generally is used for, as the code says, transshipment of goods and raw materials. That includes both trucks coming from the quarry now down the haul road to the dock. To load barges, and then other materials or goods that can come in on the dock. So the dock is one of the only deep water ports on the Hudson River, so. Times come where a big piece of machinery needs to be transshipped, they bring it up on the Hudson, we can load it, that's a good or raw material. That's really all that happens at the dock. There's no processing or. That's it, it's just
Well,
loading.
it's
it.
important for us, so one of our obligations is to protect the health and welfare of our residents. So it's important for us to know what's being loaded on and off the dock because it's right next to a public park and many businesses.
Yeah.
So I would like to know what those materials are. I would like to know how much of it there is. I would like to know how it's stored when it's being left at the dock. I believe legally it needs to be tarped, is it? And it would be helpful to just have this information as it exists today in front of us so that we can ask questions and understand what it is that we're permitting and what conditions we feel are needed.
Yeah, you should.
I can speculate about conditions without having sort of a baseline understanding, but that seems like it would be a waste of time, and every other applicant that comes before us just offers us a lot of information that we get to respond to, so I'm just confused about.
That's because a lot of things that's coming from new. These guys have been here a long.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it would be helpful if the applicant, kind of. If you find, because a lot of this discussion, believe it or not, was had many years ago, before the board did the pod deck, about. How high the gravel piles would be, how they would be stored, what are the hours of operation, and so
How they were-
maybe it's just a matter of getting this information. Where you left off back before all the numbers, because most of these numbers are not.
So,
I mean,
that's the question she's asking to have that information sent. But
Yeah.
a lot of us that were here before,
So-
kind of know it.
Just so you'd like us, just so it's clear, to submit a site plan that generally describes what is going on at the site, where things are located.
You've done one already, I think.
Yeah, I
it's
can
a matter
Yeah,
of
so just same
reading
thing.
the-
I'll take it out.
And updating it if needed, and so the question of goods keeps coming up, and so, I mean, you mentioned aggregates. I don't know, I mean, do you wanna know the type of aggregates?
Yes, I think that it is,
But
really,
it's even though that's what we have, then we're open to all goods and raw materials. So that's why describing specifically what is there now isn't super helpful because it's goods and raw
So
materials.
can we do it backwards? I mean, look, the board's not gonna want radioactive material going to and from the dock, right? So.
Which is why, that's why the city code limited it to goods and raw materials, not
But
waste.
uranium could be raw, right? So
raw
I mean,
materials with the.
can you give us a list maybe of things you are not going to haul? You're not going to haul
I don't think,
medical waste, because that's not a raw material, right?
I would,
And
I mean, I don't think it's productive or reasonable to ask us to list off everything we're not going to haul across the dock. I mean, the code,
general practice, right? You.
If the planning board has concerns about certain things, I think the more productive way is that the planning board has concerns about certain things that they either believe are within goods and raw materials or outside of goods and raw materials that they want us to address. Please, I mean, we've been asking for a set of proposed conditions for years. If you guys put something in writing, we can respond.
Well, yeah, there was something that we had talked about before, which was radioactive material stuff that can cause any kind of vapor and, you know, so we can do that one, just propose.
I mean, yeah, if there are specific concerns that board members have about certain raw materials, let's talk about it, let's put it in the list.
And can I ask this, is, back to back to the dock. Is your client amenable to having some sort of surveillance or video so we can know what the volume of truck traffic actually is?
I mean, the city, you can monitor truck traffic. You don't need our permission to monitor truck traffic.
No, I'm just, well, I should actually ask it this way. Would your client be amenable to paying for this monitoring? Because we could put a camera like in the Dunn warehouse that would show the traffic
Well, and what would be the purpose of that?
so that we could actually have an account to know what the traffic is that's
So,
traveling.
One
And then the
thing
amount of
is-
trucks that are going back,
Randall,
yes.
a camera. Cameras are cameras, but then someone actually has to sit and watch a video, we could. Potentially ask them to give us, a monthly report on how many trucks came and went, or a biannual report, or some kind of report, because they have to keep paperwork on their own trips. And that's something that could go to the zoning enforcement officer, and we could put it in the file, and then we would know.
I just feel like that's a self-report thing, which is less than ideal.
I mean, I understand the camera, but who's gonna enforce that in the city?
Well, there are cameras with license plate readers that will tell you what kind of truck and what kind of vehicle is passing. And some of them will actually have software to produce an amount of saying, this is the volume of traffic that's going through it at that particular intersection.
So you
So
say,
we would not be amenable to that.
okay, Kim,
It's the code enforcement officer that has the authority to enforce the permit and the zoning code, not.
Okay.
okay, I mean, but you can propose it, and then we'll get back to us. Okay, there was some talk about. Young, you have any, there was talk at the public hearing, last public hearings about dust emission.
Now, I wasn't really here for that, but all the articles that I read, to me, at best, it's correlational. Because the bottom line is, we do know trains, we do know cars, we do know that, the Calarusso's business as well does produce pollution. So, I mean, I don't really understand how we can say is that one business caused all this pollution when there's so many other variables and factors that are down that way. That was the only thing that I sort of picked up from some of the materials that I read, is that, the information is correlational at best. It is not a cause and effect. And this is what I feel.
Well, we're gonna come to, read the report, it was some questions about.
Yeah, the report that was submitted, used some data that was
Questionable.
questionable. The numbers they used, if you go on the EPA's webpage, 25s and 30s are actually considered good air quality. And Albany, for example, had a 73, not too far off, Kinderhook, which is a rural community in the country, was at 58.
But I'm also thinking like we gotta have forest fires, we have a variety of things that
Yep.
come in our way.
Newton is also a month in Canada that had higher forest fires. And if you look at the data, there's a webpage that I shared with Teresa and Randall that actually shows pollution across the area. And it's tough to get anything below 35 in the entire New York State. That's up in the Adirondacks too. So to say a 25 is bad, it's tough to say that there's correlation to that and actually pin that correlation.
But then all that being said, we believe. Go ahead.
I just had a different interpretation of the air quality monitoring, so I wanna see if I'm misunderstanding. I thought that the suggestion was that we determine a baseline, not that we say necessarily the air quality that's down at the riverfront right now is all due to Colarusso, which would be absurd because of all the factors. But that we determine a baseline as it is right now, so that in the future, should things change, like different materials are being moved, or the capacity changes, we can see if the air quality changes, and then we can compare it to the baseline.
See, I read that differently. I read it wherein he was providing the baseline data, which was skewed already to begin with. And so that is what we're going to be basing on further,
And what
you know.
And those numbers drastically vary. I'll send you the link to the webpage and you can look at it.
Oh, I did, I don't think that I didn't think he was suggesting that we use his air quality monitoring. I think the idea, which came from the public, and I myself am concerned about air quality, and I think it's our obligation to look at this.
But then again, that's you. You know, she thought something different, we all are independent and thinking.
Yeah, you know, I think it's important to look at air quality, but I just, from the data that I saw from, and I do believe it was St. Eve's, and the data that I looked at, to me, was correlational at best from what I looked at. So I would like more information than if we're going to just, you know, things on our
Consultant had given us,
What's that?
you had given us some comparisons on that
Correct.
particular
yeah,
subject.
And we've offered up, even before any of this came up, I mean, dust control at the site is something that they've always implemented, and it's pretty low hanging fruit for implementing mitigation measures. I mean, we've already moved the trucks off the Hall Road, which was, from my review of the public comments, a lot of the public comments to do with dust related to the truck traffic. Moving that off was a huge mitigating, was a huge mitigation measure. Paving the Hall Road was another, was another huge mitigating factor. Colorado was also offered a, and we've discussed this sort of intermittently as we've gone along, that we've discussed, and especially this, paving the entire dock, because, one of the main contributing factors to dust is unpaved surfaces, so paving the entire dock and putting up vegetative screening.
And so do you have a landscaping plan for that screening?
But we've never been, we had only offered it up, we've never been asked for it.
That's what we, yeah, that's some of the stuff we're gonna.
Yeah,
do.
Make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Why don't we try to stick on one point at a time? We're jumping all over the place. And hash out dust. And what are the conditions that you wanna see as a board to address that? So dust, you want them to pave the parking lot. You want them to, pave Front Street all the way to the roof. And those are your conditions that you want them to adjust, and then move on to truck traffic. If
That's
there's
what I was
anything there.
hoping for. I
And,
was,
and start plugging away that way, so you're kind of a systematic way of getting to an answer.
And if we haven't invited it, it definitely helps
right, that's
us
what I was hoping that we
respond
do.
to support.
I just opened it up and then people just start saying, so we're trying to keep things in order here. I don't like to stop any of us from saying anything, because I believe that question not asked is the crazy question, so, but we do want to get back into.
So Victoria, do you have a list of stuff that we can look, they can look at as a board,
Yes.
and then go by one,
Great.
on what you wanna do?
Teresa has it as well. Do you want to start going through it?
And that's the dust, we did do
So-
emissions and.
So the code has conditions for commercial dock operations. So the first thing for the board to consider is emissions of dust, smoke, gas, odor, or air pollution. Solid waste, which could cause permanent damage to soil or water, etc. So dust and emissions are the first topic. And so we've just heard about two potential conditions, which is paving the entire dock.
Yeah, and I wanna add to.
And then also paving the portion of Front Street.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
2019 letter, John, Sarah did agree to repave the entire work area at the commercial dock in writing. And establish vegetative screening in 4 areas around the dock near public facilities adjacent to the dock. As set forth in a sketch provided, which is on Community Co-op, it is buried, to be completely fair to everyone, it is really buried, it is on the website. But I believe maybe a new sketch.
Yes, that's fine.
2019.
Are you gonna pave the dock, the road coming out all the way, to where it meets Front Street and then it goes to Dorr Street, are you paving all the way?
Well, we paved Front Street,
Oh, so everything, okay,
everything is,
already paved, okay,
that wasn't paved, yeah.
Yeah, everything that wasn't.
There was a section that was dirt,
yeah,
up to Front Street, a few hundred feet, and we paved that.
Okay.
Under the conditions of the fall road.
Right.
but one day I was passing by, and I think maybe rocks got on the road, it was paved in the past, this is all supposed to be paved. So sometimes rocks get on there or something like that.
Yeah, and there's a service road for Amtrak, which picks up a lot of dust.
Oh, that's what that,
Yeah,
So then as far as vegetation, you know, the applicant gave a sketch, but it is, you have to find it when you pull it up. But is there, now you've been on the site visit, why don't the board talk about what they think is appropriate vegetative screening?
Wait, are we moving on from dust?
No,
Do you
still
have
on
some
dust.
questions?
Okay,
Yeah, I
great.
do, I do.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
And then vegetative screening from like a dust mitigation measure, not like a visual.
Any more questions about that?
No, on the dust, what is your policy in terms of truck idling?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I said, when you have to wait for the Amtrak to go by.
It's a condition.
It's prohibited.
Okay, that's right.
It's also prohibited in your haul road, the conditional permit, you do not allow them by the dock.
And isn't that?
That's what-
More-
It's also in the zoning laws.
Right, it's a zoning law for, idle trucks.
So when a train is going by, are the trucks turned off? When the trucks are waiting for the train to go by? Do they turn off the engine?
Exactly.
I don't think that's, I don't think I don't think.
Is there,
It
That's
just
not
stopped.
idle?
is there a 15-minute idling time?
You know,
Is set down by the state or the EEC federal? And what is that time frame?
It's whatever you set it at.
What do you do? You said
As far as you can set
It's
your
15
trucks to shut off from an idle at whatever time you choose.
So what time do you guys usually
So
choose?
you-
Yeah, I don't really know, it comes from the factory.
isn't there a law?
So when you're waiting for a train to go by, are you in the idle mode or are you not?
I don't know.
So you're running and then
Isn't that
Well, see-
prohibited?
And
this-
my opinion of that is if you stop for a light. You don't usually turn off your car.
it's not a light, it's a train.
But it is a light, there's a bar there, and it's a light, and you're waiting for
The
somebody
idling
to
is
stop.
actually, it's.
Idling to me is just sitting there waiting to go on the dock.
Yeah, so just to, so we can move past this, they do not shut the trucks off waiting for a train.
Okay.
But neither does anybody else. Because it's not.
Set their cars
It's not
off.
within the prohibition of truck idling.
Okay, but
How do we?
JR is saying that the trucks are equipped to shut down after.
I bet they're not physically turning them
But
off
that's
themselves,
not-
yeah, but there is an idle.
The code says truck engine idling is prohibited at loading docks. That's the language in the code.
That's a lot.
But you know what, they're also prohibited, cause I remember, when the house was being built next door to me, there was a diesel truck delivering concrete. And he was idle. So that's when I realized that there's a law that no diesel truck can idle a certain amount of time. And the weather has to be, degrees have to be a certain level.
Yeah.
And that's when I learned that there's a law that protects all of us for that, because I was very concerned.
It can't, it's 5 minutes unless the temperature is below 20.
And that goes along with every diesel truck in New York State.
It's a state law.
Yeah. So, we're kind of covered by that. Now, does it, well, we don't have cars that are diesel.
But okay, so we're still, I think though Gabby's question was what happens at the train stop, right?
What was the question?
It was answered, I think.
Okay,
The truck's
good.
idle.
Okay.
Anybody else have question on that?
And the dust on the property itself, it's already blacked up, but at a site visit, you had mentioned that you wanted to blacktop, raise it up, so the water and the debris doesn't gather in that dip.
Alright.
So have you done that, or are you going to do that?
It's gonna be
Waiting
requested.
for your approval.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a condition
Or
we
deny.
actually put, yeah, we haven't
This
put
is-
it,
yeah,
anything
we-
at the dock since the dock repaired 2017, because. That triggered us to come here, so we
Yeah.
need your permission, we would need the planning board to give us the okay to even pay.
Alright,
the dock.
And
This is our time.
Do I understand
impose
too
our
that if there's
conditions.
any gravel on site at the dock, the techniques that you usually do is spray it down?
Yeah, there's a water truck that's permanently on the, and the,
Okay.
And you also, do you spray the gravel before it gets there or after?
both.
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 And is the gravel covered when it's at the dock? When it's not? So that, can that be a condition that we add to the list, please? I think that's actually in the zoning, in the code. I can find that.
So logistically, how many times do you have like multiple trucks sort of waiting by the train? For a train to go by?
Yeah, it just says,
I don't know.
well,
I don't know.
outside storage of goods
Anybody's
raw
watching.
material shall be screened from the public view to the greatest extent possible.
You're answering Gabby's
Yeah.
inquiry.
There's something about a tarp.
I don't know that tarping material is feasible.
Well, let's look.
I think it's,
Yeah.
does that have also to do with when you, of transporting it, we have to talk it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I read.
Transporting.
Yeah, when you're transporting that, it has to be tarped, and I have noticed your trucks have some type of.
So why couldn't you tarp it at the dock? What would be the?
Why-
I mean, what was requested, what would you?
I mean, the question was that it was supposed to be.
Well, can you clarify, just for clarification, I'm talking about when it's being, nothing is being stored at the dock according to the applicant's word. So when you're talking about tarping, do you mean the trucks that are tarped?
There are piles, there's piles down.
It's loaded, he says it's not an overnight, am I wrong?
Is it overnight? Sometimes it's overnight, yes.
Yeah,
So are we talking about those storage piles, or are we talking about the trucks being tarped?
But when
Trucks are already.
Trucks are already tarped, I'm talking about the piles at the dock.
now, if they spray
putting
them,
them
they
down.
spray the piles down,
We feel we have that covered.
right, and they keep them.
For dust mitigation by spraying prior to and after it gets to the.
the rocks are clean
Yeah.
before they,
It was a question that they
on
wanted.
how many occasions, let's say per year, do you have piles of rock that sit there for multiple days? Is it unusual, or is that just a normal course of business?
No, it could be a day or two. Depending on when the bar shows up.
When the bonds are reading.
Yeah, it's all scheduling when you're hauling down, you're setting your timing for the tug and barge to show up for loading.
This has been a long time, because I remember reading that you guys did something like maybe, was it one barge a week?
It varies.
But then again, no
We're doing-
more than three?
We're doing two, tomorrow. So,
So could we get those numbers of how many barges and loads are going on and off the dock per week?
It varies.
What would be the relevance of the number of barges?
It gives us an idea
Doing
of
big
what type,
use in the operation of the dock, so that's. not
it gives us
big.
an idea of how much material is being transported.
You said that it varies, if you do one, if you do.
Okay,
Can we get the range?
okay, but then put that in
What has been the maximum large
per day. Or per week.
during the week,
uh,
during the week?
in one day, we can do between 4 and 5.
Okay.
We've done that.
And what's the, sorry,
That's when the material brought down there, loaded up,
Yeah.
and the barge goes on the side.
Yep.
and what's the capacity on the barge? What is the amount of material being loaded per trip?
And
Per bar.
that's one of the questions you're asking for them to provide. us.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
You do it.
We're gonna summarize this.
Yeah.
and send it to you. I understand, we will summarize this and send it to you as what the planning board is asking for, based on the materials that we have in front of us, the facts that we know of, and public comments also.
That'd be very helpful, thank you.
From a condition standpoint, though, back to the tarping, you want the condition to be tarped at the dock for storage, is screening sufficient, so the code only provides screening. Tarping is the other option, so how does the board, for a conditional standpoint, how do you want the storage of material going on?
Now, when you talk, that means you're putting a cover on.
I don't know what they use, but yes.
Is it-
Until they're
covered?
already wet.
Okay, now what stops the wind from blowing that?
We would be chasing that cover all over.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because I could park my car whenever,
Oh, you're right.
and I came out and I didn't know where it was, so do you have something to hold it down when you put something on, or do you have?
The
to weight
piles
it?
are not tarped.
Oh, they're not top, so it would,
It's the
Yeah.
trucks that are tarped.
it would be
But
something
should-
that. has to
Should they be
be-
tarped, there would be a way to secure the tarp. to the
Or
ground.
some, or a top that can't be blown by the wind,
Yes,
so
to
they do have.
to further protect the gravel dust from blowing all around,
And then if you do.
in
that'll-
addition to vegetation certificate, yes.
Just posing what the code provides and then just asking you as a board to come to a conclusion of what you think should be provided in terms of dust mitigation for storage raw materials on the dock.
Yeah.
Those are the one things that one member is asking.
Yeah, so I'm asking.
Anybody else have?
And if you're having a disagreement about whether to ask something, you could do an informal vote. And say, do we all agree on TARP?
Yeah,
You know,
so
if you get a concession, then move on to the next topic.
Do we all agree on that?
I don't think, no, they spray it down before and after, it's not first and
And not only that, what is
So
the
that
TARP?
will catch the debris.
Yeah, if they put something that's heavy enough, it's gonna take another truck to do it, some type of equipment. And if they don't put something that's heavy enough, you may find it in your backyard. So
If it lived at the dock, it wouldn't have to be brought in by a truck, it would be a truck that was secured to the ground that was there at the dock.
they're gonna put holes in their ground.
I don't know how it's done, but it's done,
Okay, so
you know, it's something that can be looked into as a possible dust mitigation.
And what's
wanna
the,
do
what's
that.
the spray that's used? It's just water, just clear water?
And they do it,
They
before
said
it comes
before and then
after.
after.
And if it needs it, they'll do it like on a hot day or something, or leave it
Yes.
overnight, stuff like that. Okay.
Do you have some kind of policy or something in writing about
We can,
the dust
we
mitigation?
can put together a best management.
Okay, so we would ask for that.
For
I'm agreeing that we should.
on-site
Dust
dust mitigation measures during operations.
And you said something about vegetation that also could grow up and, you know, and be around to catch some of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the-
we talked about that before.
So if you're on the dock facing Front Street or facing the railroad tracks, along there, I think was
Exactly.
where it was originally proposed.
Yeah.
We would, we would still be amenable to that, of course. And we have our landscape engineer here, so if you have any questions or specific asks.
We're getting there, yeah.
Yeah,
We'll get there before the night.
I guess it's buried, you said on the website, but a landscaping plan,
Yeah, we would probably just put together a new one for you guys to take a look at.
so that would be great.
Which should be, you should provide.
Yeah,
Yes,
But
I
that-
would love to see
I would
that.
also recommend they put a berm up.
What's the burn?
It firms earth, it's, you know, brought up to an elevation 4 or 5 feet. And then the landscaping on top of that to try to screen it a little better and hide, put your fence right on top of that. And it really will block, you know, especially with the landscaping's not mature.
And we asked for another fence.
I would ask for a screen fence.
Yes,
Some kind of chain link with slats with screen, landscape screening.
Now, what are you gonna do with the building that's, the main building that faces the waterfront that's in disrepair? The slats and the whole building, especially above where the metal, covering is coming apart and rotting. Do you have a plan that to either restore that, replace it, tear it down?
No plans as.
What are we talking about, the building?
Yeah, somebody built.
Well, yeah, kind of thought that maybe you could make it into a better
Yeah, we,
board, so it could be a mural. You can have artists paint things there,
yeah.
signs and
If
stuff.
that
I
board
mean,
wants to put
can you
something in
just-
writing a suggestion, we can respond. I think you got mixed responses during the site visit, some
Right,
people
that's
liked
true,
it, some
yeah.
people.
Well,
thought
one of
it
the
was
things
nice.
I had, you know, I would like to see if you can't tear the building down, make it usable. But especially the outside that's open to the public, because if you can just repair that nicely, maybe artists can come and put murals up or city signs, just something nice.
yeah, something that's
You know,
attractive.
a nice mural to go there. You know, we can get artists to give them free space. Every month, every 2 months. Yeah, and half of the building is being eaten away, right? Or is it? eaten
Well,
away?
it's the
Not
salt,
eaten away,
salt things and.
I think it was an old salt storage shed.
It's still a nice barrier between us and the park.
Right, and that can be used as a mural. I mean, it'd be nice to have an artist come and do their art there, you know, then another artist come to another art there, and just sell it.
Yeah, they do the landscape and the trees and shrubberies, it's the high building, which is the high heroes.
Well, I like the art.
Yeah,
Well, we'll see a landscaping plan
And then we.
And you-
we'd rather art.
and you were working with some organization with the city as well? To do the, and there was a proposal back, spoke about the city was gonna do some organization with the city was gonna do some sort of plan.
That was the Dunn warehouse or something.
No.
No, it was,
There was a woman that was doing landscaping at the south end of the park. And
Yes.
she or Carl Russo were gonna get together and hash out what they could do together to make it more appeasing to the public.
Did you guys meet with them?
We only conservation.
Yeah,
We have conservation.
Conservation.
I'm sorry, only land conserves.
okay.
Did you ever meet with them?
We did. Yes, but we're still, we just need to understand what you're looking for.
We would like to see those.
I'm just-
Okay.
So how about lighting?
Oh,
Wait,
let me stand up.
Yes.
Okay. So back to the air quality monitoring, the point I was trying to make wasn't at all that I was agreeing or not with Bettina in terms of being concerned. It was about the idea of having monitoring so that we can have a baseline of what's going on today. We don't have to use, I mean, nor would we, the data, and I don't think he was suggesting we would. But I think it's our obligation to protect the residents as best we can, so we need to know what the baseline is now. So I'm wondering about air quality monitoring.
Why don't you take
And
a
then
vote
we-
to see what board members want to look into
I
that?
thought we did that, maybe we were wrong. When you say air quality monitoring, you mean in reference to what, the PALs? That's the.
That's for the operation.
For the operations, for the whole operation?
Yeah, how it's,
You just
That's what
want
it is,
to monitor
But
their
hopefully then-
operation? Just for their operation?
if we have a baseline of what it is, near the dock. So that we know how it's contributing overall today, then if it changes in the future.
Well,
It's
No,
always
but-
tough to do air quality because Canada wildfires drastically affect the area. Heat, being next to the river, pollution or pollen, all really affect air quality in those
Right.
numbers.
Right,
So those numbers can vary drastically. To try to come up with a baseline to say it's gonna be 25 is a really hard thing to do.
And that's what I was saying, how do you read that out? How do you read all the other contributing factors that impact that?
We're part of the baseline.
So
because
as
we're
a
operating,
board,
So
kind of-
it wouldn't really do anything because if you were proposing a project that didn't yet exist, so it was a new proposal for a new facility somewhere, you can establish a baseline because that does not exist. We exist and we're operating.
Right.
So
certainly
it's not.
there are other factors.
But it would still be hard to do that because you're right down there near the trains, the
Correct.
forest, the fire, there's so many other contributing factors that you can't say one caused the other. That's why it's correlational, which means there might be, there definitely is some kind of contributing factor, but how much is it? Could we even beat that out with any kind of data or device that we have? That's what I'm saying.
As a
And
board,
we're already subject to a condition
Yes.
in the code that limits our emissions of dust
so how is that monitored?
by the code enforcement officer.
So how is the code enforcement officer monitoring that?
you can always write them.
By a-
Okay, but just, I'm trying to be clear, I'm not suggesting that we can understand exactly how much they are contributing. It's to determine a baseline right now, so that if something were to change in the future, like the materials being
Okay,
loaded and offloaded, or the types of materials, if there's a huge and consistent change in air quality, then we have some baseline numbers.
so the way I see it, if
Like,
there
you
is,
still say it's due to
wouldn't
their-
be-
We can't do
it
anything with the
wouldn't be
numbers.
Caluso, it would be
Everybody.
everybody,
Maybe
so.
I'm not getting
But
it.
it's
Just
not
say that's
based
not
on
for us, that's for,
Okay,
state code
well,
enforcement.
taking it back to a more fundamental point. This is another question I had for our council in terms of
Yeah.
reconciling what it says in the code and what is set forth before us. In the prohibited uses in all districts, it talks about trades and industry or processing uses, which is offensive or objectionable by reason of the emission of smoke, dust, gas, odor, air pollution, etc. And it's elsewhere in the code too. So because it's pre-existing and you already have this vested right, you're saying we can't review it through this.
No, they're different,
sections
so
of the
there's
code?
performance, those are performance standards, right? And you can never have use that's going to be noxious in any part of the city. Of course, there's no bright line rule of what constitutes noxious, but we were having a pickle plant, and it was this terrible vinegar smell all day long. That use may fall under that section where we would say, okay, you're putting out the terrible fumes. It's not working, but there may be ways to mitigate it. They can put on a scrubber. They can put on other ways to mitigate it so that the use is no longer noxious. So here, what your goal really is to put the right conditions on this use, whether it be watering down the piles, paving the dock. How do you ensure in an objective way that this use is not going to be noxious? Some would argue that it's not noxious now, they use tarps, they're on Hall Road, but some would argue that they do get dust. And so what are reasonable conditions that you can put on that to prevent it from meeting that?
Well, that goes back to, again, my question about when you buy the train track, especially when you're coming into the dock. So when you have, because you're saying you have trucks idle or have the ability to idle at specific times. But you're saying that generally, is there a reason why, I don't drive a diesel truck, but is there a reason why you couldn't turn it off? Or especially if you had two trucks, that you have the cumulative exhaust from two trucks waiting, is there a reason why that would be?
I don't know if they started the truck. Or.
So, yeah.
I can look at the biggest question was, is there any reason why you wouldn't turn the trucks
Oh,
off?
the truck, it has, air for the brakes. Okay, and if you have any little bit of leak or anything, your air comes down and then you're in the way of traffic. I think the safest way to do is idle. When you're on the road, and then we stay to the code once we go into, the dock, which I believe is 5 minutes. And we have no problem with those.
Right, but, and again, one truck is one thing, but I'm just looking at the time, we have multiple trucks. Then there's an accumulation of exhaust, and you can control that by the trucks that leave the Hall Road, the upper part of the Hall Road, and proceed to by the cross, right? You could control that to some extent.
Do our Amtrak trains, do they idle?
What?
Do what?
Do the
Yeah, trains.
idle? Okay, so that's the question.
I don't think I'm clear on.
Okay, so this is a question that we can propose.
He's asking whether you can time the trucks in such a way that you won't get a buildup during.
You will get multiple trucks waiting and idling before they go across.
Because then you'd have to time it with the train arrival and train crossing. I think that would be.
They come every.
Well, they come-
Oh,
They
really?
come every hour.
Yeah.
on the hour. That's
Say 5 minutes.
This is a question that can be asked and answered.
Yeah, doesn't matter where you are, if it's just sitting there, idling, it'll shut off. And I think it's 5 minutes, I don't think you can go any less than that.
Okay, but I'm just thinking like one truck is one thing, and you have multiple trucks, then there's a lot of pollution.
Yeah, if they were sitting there for 15 minutes in the train, those guys would shut the truck off.
Information that might be useful. One, is it legal to turn a truck on a public roadway?
Yeah.
Two, what is the difference in air emission between starting a truck versus letting it idle?
Right.
Is there some big output when you start it or not? Three, can you time it, or is there anything else we can do to try to prevent these trucks from idling if the train stops? So I think these are just questions for
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, the questions
Whoever
that
wants
was-
us to look into
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, questions that we'll
What's
present.
the best procedures, for them when you have multiple trucks waiting at a particular point?
Okay, so, we're lighting.
Why don't we do the next?
The next one's nuisance from loading dock operations and noise.
Okay, noise, did you guys address, the noise? What kind of noise? The noise is it's when you're loading the gravel onto the barge. Doesn't that make some large clinking noise? No, I don't know, I don't live near it, so it's hard for me to say.
Is there any point in the process where you have air protection?
What kind of noise are you making?
That's probably not that much.
The loudest would be the back of alarm areas.
That'll take whatever noise.
We're not getting very much noise.
I mean, where's the noise coming from? Is it coming from when they pick it up and throw it into the
So we
box?
have a limit on the noise level that we can hit, we could just, that, so all those businesses, it's in the code. And we're well within that limit, we've never violated that.
Sure, but
And
so
we
what
have-
else, so first, can you explain where the noise happens?
Yeah,
Is it,
yeah.
is it when you're unloading and loading, you know, where the?
I mean, I guess everything makes noise, the trucks.
Our biggest noise is probably the safety backup alarm, so.
Oh, the zooms and the
Yeah.
Beep, beep,
beep,
beep,
beep, beep,
Yeah.
okay.
That's probably the loudest.
How about when it's going into the barge, the first layer? That's not noisy? Okay,
It's down inside.
okay.
And we did submit a noise study to the board.
You did.
And then
Like
we
the
have-
site plan, I will dig it out
That's
and
practice,
practice.
that's
And, yeah. So
Okay,
that
any
was,
questions about that?
Do the tugs also, I don't, while they're waiting? Or do they wait?
Sometimes, yeah.
Do they stay there?
At times, they'll stay overnight.
Yeah, cause I noticed in the barges there, there was no tug truck.
No, and there's times the Coast Guard will stay there as well.
so we can, if anybody will respond with the noise study, and that had some recommended best management practices in it, which were of course meaningful too. And that was like no slamming of tailgates, the truck idling, speed of trucks on the dock, certain things like that. I can't remember off the top of it.
Okay, now, any more questions about that? Okay, okay, how about, you're gonna go for loading, and unloading. Operations, okay, it says at the dock, the truck driver part. Should be limited to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. But it's not limited to on-board operations by tugboats and barges. So that means your barges can arrive at any time.
Correct.
We don't know.
Not the barges. The tugs gotta make a little bit of noise.
What time do they normally come around? In the morning?
All.
Well, they-
They get 24.
Okay, so it doesn't give days, it says 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Is this Monday through Friday or is it 7 days a week?
I would think it's 7 days a week.
It's just, isn't it up to us to?
I'm just asking what is in place.
Oh,
Right,
Let's talk about what you did for the hall. As it, so this is what would be in effect. It's between the hours of 7 and 6 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Friday.
so that's.
Then it says hauling between the quarry and the dock shall not be conducted on weekends and major holidays, which was defined as New Year's, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. So, I mean, that's the use of the haul road,
Correct.
but I expect that the same limitation could be put on the dock, or is there a reason why it couldn't?
There are operations at the dock that occur irrespective of hauling operations.
Okay, so that's a starting point
Yeah,
for where,
like,
what's allowed per the haul road.
like what?
Right, and
What operations?
Loading.
No, okay, so you can bring the material down, leave it there, it doesn't, right. In other words, the dock is not working, I mean, the haul, you're not loading stuff, but it's already there.
So, yeah,
So
we're
you're working-
restricted on the haul road, so we get the material there by the end of the week, we can load on the weekend. Plus, we can do maintenance and repairs.
Okay, so right now, your dock can work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week.
Right.
Okay, that's something we definitely. So we can do.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to do, establish what is happening now.
Right.
So that we can see which way we're going or what might do and
Right.
place any restrictions on. it. So what are your thoughts about that planning board, each one? I kind of like to go, well, I can understand, but. That means you're gonna be working on holidays. Saturday, Sunday, but no trucks are coming, it's just working. So what is, just explain, what exactly are you doing?
Loaded.
What- yeah.
And
And what equipment is needed to do that? Does that have to come in and go out?
No.
It's just there on the dock.
And maybe a service truck that comes in to work on it. Other than that, it's the equipment that,
A service truck, meaning if something breaks down.
correct, or you make for maintenance.
And so you would be taking, either taking what's in the piles that are already sort of preloaded to the dock and be loading them onto a ship or on a barge.
Correct, or unloading, yes. Either way.
So that means that you would automatically have a truck or whatever equipment that you have already there for you, because you can't go from Hall Road to the.
Yes.
Okay.
We can do it with the gate over section.
Oh, I can't even hear him.
I can.
Would there be occasions where if you didn't use the whole road, that another buyer or somebody who's working with a different truck would then come and then use city roads to get there?
Because we're not allowed to do that.
What was the question?
I said, could any other of their customers come and
Oh,
use the city
Saturday,
streets?
Sunday, it's, yeah.
Yeah, during the hours that you're prohibited on the whole road. So basically we're saying that the whole road hours are established so that you wouldn't have any other traffic, truck traffic, going into the dock. Is that correct?
Unless it comes from the home, I guess.
Right, but I'm saying, when the whole road is closed, or is in non-operational hours, there should be no trucks going into the dock. For any
Correct.
Material between the dock and the port, but I mean, these guys.
But your question was
I mean,
concerning
a truck, an industrial truck, I'm
Yeah.
not talking about I'm not talking about a
Yeah,
vehicle.
but, yeah,
I mean,
part of the permit
personal
condition
vehicle.
was that no trucks traveling, so moving material between the quarry and the dock would only happen on the haul road and not on city streets. And it could only happen on the haul road during certain hours. And the only exceptions to that was the ones we carved out for if the haul road was impassable because of a weather event or so forth.
So right now, the Hall Road cannot be used on weekends or after 5 p.m. on Fridays.
Or after 6 p.m.
Right, and the dock cannot receive
I-
trucks.
See,
Doing
that's,
the
No,
same
see,
no,
that's
the
the
dock,
question.
so no. The only trucks that can go into the Hall Road, if I'm understanding this, are like an employee truck.
I'm not talking about on the whole road, I'm talking about on the city streets.
Right,
I mean, we don't,
into the,
can't control
into the
what
dock.
people do.
No,
They
for
don't get
you,
customers. Do you get customers?
That's what I'm saying, can a customer,
If
a
somebody
private
shows
company
up,
come and bring you stuff on the Saturdays, Sundays, when the whole road is not operating, but they bring it to you from the streets right into the dock for you to, no, you don't accept that. That's the question, right?
that's right.
Okay,
Oh, so there's,
the answer is.
I just wanna make sure there's not a workaround.
Okay, so
It
we
would
can
be
put, we
clear-
can stipulate
it would be
that.
clear
Okay, cool.
if there was something that said, consistent with the Hall Road resolution, that only trucks, whether it's customer or no trucks, are following the Hall Road hours to and from the dock.
That's you guys.
That makes sense to me.
The only question I would have is like when they move those transformers. That
Let's think about
could
it,
have been.
just in case there might be something we're not thinking of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's the request, so.
like they were saying, when we moved those giant transformers. If that barge came in, it's only a limited period of time, because that crane is so expensive, if they moved it, it would be putting it on a flatbed, and that flatbed would be going. That could happen outside of haul road hours,
Where's,
but that's not hauling material.
it's coming, is it coming out of the dock, from the dock?
Off the river.
Off the river.
Off the river onto a truck on your dock, right?
Correct,
And then where's that truck going?
wherever the material is bound for.
Yeah, that happened to be, I don't know if you were aware of it, they brought a big transformer in, I don't know, I think.
Oh, that's the one
Not
thing,
bridge over,
Like
or transfer.
500 tons, and they put it on a special trailer, it had 128 tires on it. And they had escorted it, I think, down to Connecticut. Then it was a police
and it came
escort.
from
they
your
got it-
dock,
Yeah.
came from your dock.
And they took it up through the whole road, they didn't take it through the whole
All road,
street.
but it was after our operating hours. They moved it at night.
Oh, they moved it at night,
Yeah.
okay, cause I'm like, I never
So
saw
it's
it.
a police escort.
Yeah, police
So
escort.
those things have to be regulated. So
Did
maybe,
you seek a special permit for that? Like,
so
We
maybe,
don't need a special.
maybe there's a,
what do you mean, what do you mean, why would you need a special permit? I mean, if the whole road has specific hours and you do things after hours, what do you mean you wouldn't need a special permit?
Well, I don't know.
The haul road doesn't have specific hours, the whole road's just open. Calusa agreed to limit
No, we have,
truck traffic between the quarry and the dock to 7 to 6, Monday through Thursday, 7 to 5 on Friday, no weekend.
true, I think use of the Hall Road is limited to those certain hours, so.
it's not,
Like that it's written.
yeah, we, you
It's the Hall Road
finished, you
itself.
closed that
But-
one, your gate is closed.
It, if this is something that happens occasionally because it's the only way to get, you know, this infrastructure to other places, maybe there's language that can be put in where you have to give
That's probably,
24 hours notice to correct
so
pay.
the city should know when that's happening. If it's beyond the parameters.
But I
that
think
you
we
want to
should think
establish.
about that and
Yeah.
propose something,
Yeah.
otherwise we'll come up with language.
Yeah,
So that's fine.
right, because you do, well, that means you have to reopen the road, because that's so gates on that road.
Yeah.
And they're closed when you're not operating, they're not left open.
And why can't you get that shipment during the day?
It's okay.
Well, that, they would move it at night. They have to move it at a certain time.
So there's people on the street, there's cars.
Yes, that's right.
I've seen something like that somewhere else, yeah,
Put
I'm just
a
asking.
notice to the code enforcement.
so maybe, yeah, and that's the best way for them to come through the whole road, how are they coming before the whole road, through the streets?
Through city streets, yeah.
So, it's bad.
All right,
Okay. Okay, so any more questions about that? We're gonna go into lighting.
Sorry, can I ask a question of just to the planning board? How many members of this planning board were on the site visit? When did that occur?
a few weeks
I
ago.
think it occurred twice. I've been there twice.
Someone's go.
Oh, the month.
I've been there twice.
It was.
I went in 2020 and then I went in 2024.
Yeah, it was late Spanish.
I think so, I'll gather yourself.
I think we've been there twice. Yeah, we've been there twice.
So if you didn't, if you were not on the board at the time, would you like to go? We could ask the applicant to do another site.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
yeah.
you, yeah. Anybody wanna go again, Veronica?
Have you been before? No, but I forgot.
And Paley has, I was.
You went last time.
Yeah.
He was last
Yeah.
year, that's right. He was, that's true. And I've been twice, and you go for twice.
So.
I said we could hope for better weather.
Yeah, it was snowing, right?
Yeah, it was.
So,
I think,
you two
we
just.
can actually just.
Plan it
they
down.
can- We can pick a date right now, so everyone knows and anyone can go again, or Gabby and Veronica can email TJ and ask if the date that they choose works, so. Either way.
And that's only 3, so, okay, so, we wanna pick a date now?
Sure.
Okay, look at your calendars and let's see if they're accommodating. Anybody else in the board want to go? No, I've been there once. You've been there twice, we need to see someone, I went once. No, twice because the car, we were in the car one time.
Oh, no.
That
we
was the
were-
whole road.
That was a
Yeah, that was the
whole road.
But I went down to the dock, so.
Cause I brought my own car and it was cold. I remember it being snowing and he was wearing
And then we
gloves.
went to the dock. Okay, so what day did you guys get to?
So let's start with, is it weekend or weekday preferable?
Well, I'd like to go when it's fully operational, so I would imagine that will be a weekday.
Okay. Let's start with me.
What day are you? Do you have, from the, what day?
I think it'd be easier if you guys had a day in mind that we could check to see if it's.
But they wanna see the operation, so if you don't operate
Yeah,
every
a
day.
day when you've got, this summer it doesn't seem like you've been doing much, so, wanna make sure we're there when we can see what's happening.
So do you have anything from tomorrow to our next meeting? Or do you have a day that should be operating?
What's your earliest you can do that?
I can do it.
Our next meeting is the 9th,
We're loading tomorrow.
huh?
We're loading a barge tomorrow.
Tomorrow, you wanna go tomorrow? Depends on the time.
Only in the afternoon, yeah.
What time you load your bar?
We'll be done by noon.
Okay, well, you got it.
Then, yeah, you can go, and then you can go another time. So tomorrow, are you there? Yeah, okay, so you're gonna accommodate Gabby
So,
tomorrow, what time?
Can you just talk after the meeting and
Yeah.
then change?
So,
Okay.
so Gabby's gonna come now, Veronica, what day?
I can do, the 4th, September 4th.
It's not, that's not holiday, it's not like. No, that's not holiday.
Maybe we can try to
Set.
schedule that,
Okay.
Okay,
you know, can't promise it, but we could,
If we're gonna be loading,
yeah, if the guys loading, we'll have you.
we can run through the port. We can run through it, how we load, but actual loading, there's no material down there, no hard, won't build.
I mean, you can also propose today too.
Okay.
All right, so we got a potential Gabby for August the 28th and Veronica for September 4th.
Right,
And we'll, I'll email Coyote and see if he wants to go back on one of those days, okay?
and then you guys should discuss where you're gonna meet.
Sure.
Okay?
Great.
And you could email to discuss that.
Sure.
Yeah, an email, right? Okay, so that's good. So now let's go to the lighting.
Wait, we didn't finish the hours of operation discussion.
Oh, yeah, we had said, we were talking about that.
Okay.
I was thinking of it to coincide with the Hall Road, but then. What do you guys think? I mean,
Makes sense to me.
yeah, but,
I think it comes down to whether conditions have to be based on something reasonable.
right,
So
Is it based on what?
I think you
something reasonable.
go and see the operation and decide if it's something that should not occur during the weekend hours, or if, you know, the fact that there's no trucks mitigates any issue.
You know, but personally, having gone there more than once, I didn't see a problem with the festivals like that, because when they're operating, there's nothing supposed to be, no trucks in and out. They're just actually in their little corner doing the job from 7 to 7, but what, I mean, Saturday, you know, doing it on Saturdays and Sundays and holidays, I'm kind of thinking that if we can just limit the hours, because from 7 to 7 on a holiday, 7 to 7 on Saturday, 7
You
to
mean
7.
after you at the dock?
Yeah, at the dock. You know, in other words, if they have to do it Saturday, Sunday, and holidays, can you limit the hours and not 7 to 7?
But why do they have to? I mean, don't we get to decide what is?
See,
Allowable?
when I say something, I'm thinking of their operation too. I mean, yes, as a planning board, we can do it, but me personally, I'm saying I don't have a problem with them working on the Saturdays and Sundays, but I would like to see the hours limit. Okay, now you may not think that way, you, but me, I feel that maybe limit the hours on Saturday and Sunday. Now, when I say that, that's my independent thought.
But you are choosing the hours, but only to the extent. So the hours are chosen per the code, right? It can't be before 7 or after 7. You can amend that and make it tighter. But it has to be based on some harm that the use proposes. So. If it was very, very loud and it impacted the ability of someone to enjoy the park, maybe that's a harm that needs to be mitigated. Or if it were putting up these huge dust piles, you know, maybe that's a harm. So it has to be based on something.
And my basis was because I have been in the park on the weekends and I've seen the operation. And, well, at first when I saw it, I thought it was cute, but then after looking at it, I didn't think it was that cute anymore. It's like to see,
I mean,
Stuff
personally,
coming
I
down.
may have to go down there a little bit more, because to me, I think the trains are what bothers me the most, and, I live right there.
What's the timetable?
It drives me crazy, and all the traffic that's coming up our street is just like a unbelievable, a big flow. My car has been hit, as you know, not once but twice.
Aside from traffic, is there an impact that you're foreseeing
well, on the
mitigated
weekend,
by hours of operation? 'Cause it seems
Okay.
like.
I'm thinking of maybe limited, well, in my opinion, on certain times in the summer, on the weekends, because you have a lot of activity going on in the park during the summer months.
And there's, I'm just trying to figure out what the issue is.
It's noisy.
Part.
Yeah, I
Well,
spend a lot of time.
well, I'm not gonna say, I'm not saying that, I didn't say it,
Yeah.
okay. I'm not saying it's noisy,
Sure.
I just didn't like the way it looked, the aesthetics are not great for me. Okay, so, as a matter of fact, I couldn't even hear about gravel coming down.
Right.
All I could do was see it, and then it made me feel like it was dust coming, but there wasn't, I didn't see it, I didn't feel the dust, I didn't smell it. I just didn't like what it looks like, okay, and I don't know if everybody else would, but I'm speaking that, to me, the aesthetics of just sitting in the park, enjoying the park, and then get on and finding you guys working and putting your driving into a big barge. You know, so I'm thinking, about maybe limiting the hours on the weekends, during certain seasons. And and seeing if that works, but, we'll I'll put it to you, so, yeah.
Well, I would like to see the weekends and holidays year round, the business closed so that the park is protected from the noise and all of the other issues that come along. And after school hours also, during the weekdays, that 12-hour business hours are unusual, right? I mean, 7 to 4 would be,
I mean, there's plenty of businesses that
that's
are
9 hours,
24 hours a day.
well. They're not under our review.
And we submitted a noise study that we can, I'll bring up again and resubmit on you.
Any other saying on this?
Can't hear you, Dean.
Yeah. I'll go along with Teresa, I don't have a problem with the weekends, holidays maybe something different, but. Limiting the hours, I don't know what the hours would be on the weekend. I don't know if it would be the same as Fridays, 7 to 5.
Saturdays, 7 to. Yes. It's 12. I mean, do you guys really work till 7 o'clock?
On the
Now,
weekends.
on the weekends? Well, I did see it.
And the reason I asked about the impacts is there may be other ways to address those impacts aside from hours of operation, like the noise study proposes best management practices to keep us within the code limit for noise. And we could implement those as part of the conditional use permits to address noise. If it's dust, we've already covered that. So if it's just hours of operation, it's just for sake of hours of operations, that would not be something that we'd be agreeable to.
And there's no way you can, camouflage or hide the operation on the waterfront portion.
Like from,
We don't know if everybody would want that. Although to answer your question, yes, you could.
and you mean on the, between the park and.
No, between the dock and the barge. That's, you put the sand in the barge.
The only thing you could do is from Brick Point, you could put some screening up.
Right.
So if you're in the park, you wouldn't be able to see it, but I'm not sure if everybody's. looking.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, in the
Yeah.
park, when I'm in the
Yeah.
park, I saw it, that's how I.
Yes, and doing the screen's a good idea, of some sort, but then from the Rick's Point, or that little island peninsula there. You're gonna be blocking the view of the river and the mountains south of here. Unless your screening device is much shorter than a standard.
Yeah, what was you thinking about in screening, like if we were gonna, when you think about, when you say, I don't know if everybody would want that.
Well,
What are your
maybe
business?
maybe somebody wants to take their grandchild over to the park to watch the barges get loaded and look at the tug.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a difference of opinion there.
Yeah, you're right about that, that is a difference,
And the code-
I did not enjoy it, but it was other people in that park, and they were looking too.
And the code prohibits us from, I mean, screening, yes, can be a mitigating factor for dust, and we are obviously we've already agreed to that, but the code does prohibit us from blocking the view from the city out to the Hudson River. So you wanna just keep that as well.
All right, so we're gonna get into lighting. We did talk about lighting, right?
Yeah.
Might like to see what lighting is that.
Well, let's ask them, what do they have now? Do you have any lighting over there now?
Yes.
What do you have?
There's 2 on the dock.
Yeah, two big bright
Oh, you
lights.
mean it's on a pole, right, and it comes down?
Yeah, there's other lighting that. That would light up the pad. You don't use them. You had. Years ago, but.
The pad
The
of the
Area,
dock, yeah, I think it's on a pole right there, and
Yeah,
they're
there's
shining,
clear.
and that's it, that's
Lights.
what you see on the. Okay.
Well, they're not on.
They're not on
The ones on the dock shining on the bulkhead are on, automatic. Yeah, they like timers for the daytime.
So, but when you're doing nighttime operations there, what lights do you use? Not just regular nighttime, but nighttime. when
Well,
you're
look, if it was
working
at
in
7 o'clock, we would probably turn two lights on, closer to the little buggy that we load with.
Cause like I said, I would like to see it be nighttime compliant, just for the, you know, just for the riverfront, when you're not operating. Light wise,
Meaning lit up, lighted up.
right, it's like a minimum, and it says down lighting, so it doesn't kind of leak light pollution, like above it.
I don't think they have lights on at night is what they're saying.
But part of the problem here is that
No, the lights on the timer.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, lights on.
Down with the bar.
Yeah, I think they have one light, two lights
They have
on the
lights on
pole.
the time.
So
It's showing down.
The light that shines down when it's already baked and baked.
And what they say on,
They're what are those?
while the bar just out of that.
Oh, they come every night.
All right, this, they were on every night.
They shine down, they're not, yeah, they're both.
The light.
Right, so, yeah, so they're on every night, so it's not just during operations, so,
Why don't we make a suggestion that you ask the applicant to do photometric plans?
yeah.
Oh, that's fine, that makes sense. Let us know what kind of light you have.
Yeah, should be on the
Just like that.
light, how bright it is, how far is it from us?
Yeah,
And you can turn them on remotely, right? So if somebody were gonna they have to use the dock, that, you know, it can be turned on remotely, or wouldn't have to be always on.
I mean. No, I can't. Turn on remotely then. I mean, we don't, they're, you know, the barge. Pulling in, you would have to have access to that, right? I mean, they're shining down, they're not shining over by the park, they're basically shining at one another on the bulkhead. Doesn't light up the ground, so.
There's no light leakage, because I remember being pretty bright, but I don't remember why. I don't remember what was.
No.
It's pretty bright, it was pretty bright down there last time. Yeah, actually, there was something with the lighthouse. It was a lighthouse thing that we were doing, a light ceremony, and there was lights there, it was significant. I remember that.
But we'll come up with it. Okay.
yes.
isn't it true that regardless of what Colorusso is doing now or has plans to do in the future, if the
That's a
business,
question for us.
yes,
Okay.
if the business is sold to somebody else and the conditions aren't on the permit about lighting, they could do whatever they want. So though,
If the lights are on the plan, the site plan is approved, if they wanted to change and add more lights, they would have to come back with site plan.
right, so if we approve,
Yeah.
so we need to know what lighting is being used now.
Correct.
And once that's approved,
That's it.
that is it, and any changes would come back before the
No,
board.
no, we need to know what lights they're using now, then we look at that and say, well, maybe there need to be more, stuff like that. Right.
Yeah.
So the photometric plan becomes part of the site.
Yes.
And it will be approved in reference to the conditional use permit.
Right.
So we'll
thank you.
ask you for that, and when we come back with that one, we'll be able to.
So just, for my own information, or the board's information, if the business is to be sold, and then will they require a new?
No.
Conditional use.
You regulate the use and not the user. So whether it's Colorusso or Balarusso, it doesn't matter, they all have
They would-
to
they
buy
only-
the same permit.
So they would only need a new conditional use permit if the use changed, they.
Correct.
Or they
And
modify
it's-
their site.
It's
And they
pretty
modify
tight,
their
I
site,
mean,
okay.
so a bulkhead repair triggered a new conditional use
Right.
permit, so any kind of change to the site would trigger a new conditional use permit. So actually, the applicant should be forward thinking right now and proposing whatever it is that they want to do. To this site, so that.
So,
it's-
and
Even
if,
if they expanded the use of the dock from what they're using now to,
You're gonna have, I mean, on the plan, it shows the area
Right.
of use.
so if they.
So they have to if they expand the area of use, then that triggers a new conditional use permit.
No, I would like to see lights that, like, just me. Right now, from what I remember, there are no lights at night. There's one pole light I've seen that shines down on the dock. And it's dark. Was that intended, where if it's dark, nobody knows it's there, no kids can go there, you know, it's not a place where people know about, that they would go? I mean, if someone decided, I mean, if we get an influx of young people that are curious and they decide to go over there and make that a place where they're gonna hang out at night because it's dark.
You asking for more lights or fewer lights?
Yeah, that's kind of.
I'm good.
Can I go? Okay. My thought is that maybe not ones that stay on, but motion lights that if a bunch of people decide
I
to
understand.
be there, yeah.
A motion
And we see that place lit up, the cops will know, they'll see what's going on.
Yep.
Okay, instead of staying dark all night. Okay, so, you guys understand? what I'm saying?
Right,
Yeah.
that could be solved with a motion.
Yeah, because right now it is dark at night over there. And, you know, we got a growing population and we wanna make sure that doesn't become.
Are there animals?
It's gonna be scary.
So if the deer are there, does the light turn on for the deer? Don't you have lights that don't turn on for deer?
But you can screen the areas where there's motion, like you can mask the areas to have motion detected at particular areas.
Oh, and the deer just hang out there?
Huh?
They hang out there, the deer just hang
I
out?
don't agree, that's what I'm saying, we can mask the detection area.
They might leave when the lights on.
Hey,
Yeah, they will, okay. Well, that's something I would like to see, because just in case,
Sure.
is your site alarm?
oh yeah,
I don't believe it.
why not? Well, I guess that's why some of us leave our doors open and up, because we still live in a nice place.
It's all fenced.
Yeah.
And we lock it up.
Is there a time, isn't there a time limit that people are supposed to be in the park at Henry Hudson Park? Is there a time?
Yeah, and it's dark
Is
in
it
the
9 or 10? I can't remember. Yeah, one of the, they're not supposed to be down there anyway.
Well, it's dark down there anyway, it's very dark. I've been there.
Which is why
Okay, so, any more
So
with
Uh,
American
so-
plan?
the lighting should not be visible beyond the lot. So you wanna look at the current lighting and then, you know, you're asking for security lighting, but you wanna look at both to make sure that you're meeting that vision.
I understand, because with the lighting, it doesn't have to come beyond the vineyard, it could just go right up, so. You know, police be, and they see it right and nothing's going on, they'll tell me over there and see what's happening.
I think I'm doing good enough to that.
Yes, the next one is, we talked about the visual impact,
Yeah, if it goes up, then it impacts the whole.
not up,
Active people that.
that what?
Be done.
It's down.
Down.
Yeah,
It
down.
starts up and go down. Okay, in other words, it's on a high pole and it goes down. Yeah, so if that comes on by motion, it's gonna see it.
Do you have an emergency procedural plan in case of, the truck breaks down or if there's spillage out of a truck or that kind of thing?
When the doc-
Spillage out of the truck.
Like a truck for some reason would break down and some of the load we would spill, do you have like formalized?
Like
plans like that?
if the truck broke down and then the tailgate also broke in the ground.
Yeah, or just, yeah, or the tailgate wasn't properly secured or malfunction, and then you had gravel and work. Do you have plans in place?
We are running, locks on, so if the tailgate open, it's got, so it can't open.
Additional locks.
Yeah.
So this is safety, okay. But is that enough that you don't, so you have that level of protection, so you don't have any other?
Okay, the next one is the visual impact, which we did speak about. One of the things I was talking about was just to see the site of the operation. And they're also talking about, well, you can't really see the dock from. You can't see the dock when the fence is closed, right? From what I can remember. You can't see anything,
No, usually from south.
yeah. From the top, the only thing I was able to see was the actual loading of the barge.
Shiloh.
Any of you,
Silent,
and this, how about the side, and what do you think about that, like they said, that's a. A lot of people said, I like it,
But I'm
That was
sorry,
also a
what did
touchy
you say,
topic.
the
yeah,
sidewalk?
that tall apparatus, that's just there with plants growing on the top.
In the water tower?
Is that what that is?
The sidewalk.
What is it? Inside.
used to hold cement.
Okay, and that's not being used, and I mean, we were there with somebody that said they,
Yeah, they did.
yeah,
Here's one of the board members prior to the, when he was here. but they liked it, it was historical.
So what do you guys think about the visual impact of the operation from the public's view, maybe in a park? And I think that's about the only place you could see any part of that operation unless you guys seen something that I didn't
You can
see.
see it from the railroad tracks and the
From the railroad?
facility across the street.
Right.
We talked about that, then putting a landscape buffer
Realistic, right?
and berm along Front Street, the trail.
What type of trees, the buffer?
I would do a mix of deciduous and evergreen trees and shrubs.
And who's gonna keep, and they're gonna be responsible for.
They would be responsible for maintaining.
Yeah, the landscaping plan would be,
And that's the
filed
one,
with the- it'd be
that's the
public.
buffer from the train tracks.
It would go right to the gate.
And then the one on the side is where the wall is gonna be that, I'm saying that we should make so that Murray's gonna go there. That it would be
You
smaller.
know,
I don't know.
how long is your property on the railroad right away from your gate to the south end? You know the approximate distance
From where?
from your gate down the south end of your property along the railroad tracks? There's already a fence there and some trees and shrubbery.
I think transfer those to the trust of that.
No.
Yes. Yeah, so there's a fence that runs to the trestle, I don't know exactly how many feet.
Okay. And then putting up, getting back to the landscaping. Are we gonna ask for the landscaping along that right of way to the end of the property or just in front of the basilica?
I would probably
That's where-
recommend just Basilica.
That's where the public road stops, I think, someplace in that area.
Yes.
Do you know where the road stops, South Front Street stops?
Just past the facility.
Yeah, it's kind of divided by the commercial property behind the facility and it.
Yes,
Because you have to swing in to get to the warehouses there.
correct.
And then there used to be a way station there. But I can't remember where the road ended itself. But as you said, just in front of the facility, that's where.
The most impact is.
That's most impact, and that's where the general public is going to be traveling, traversing. Okay,
So that's a combination of creating an earthen berm, like raising the land up and putting vegetation
I
on top
told
of
you,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so there's no need.
Won't be able to see anything of that.
So can we just jump back to, a ways back to emissions? Because I actually, I agree with Gabby in talking about trying to get some sort of baseline, because. Again, I'm still stuck on when the trucks, when they have to stop, the trucks have to stop. And then for a train, and then proceed afterwards, right? Either way, there's a little bit of an incline, so we're saying that, and I agree, when we looked at those air quality standards. In the aggregate, they didn't look bad, they were like 30, 40, and then 50 is, 50, 60 is considered sort of bad. However. Is it possible or advisable to ask the applicant to give us what sort of the spot emission is? Because when you have a truck and you pull forward and you have to go up, because it's a little hill when you have to go up. And if a truck is stopped, especially a heavy truck, and it's got to now get back to motion, that's a significant amount of push in the diesel. You're gonna have a lot more emissions in that area. And this is the area that we're talking about specifically as we discussed where the Dunn warehouse is supposed to be maybe a recreational area for kids. That area is now gonna have a significant amount, potentially, of emissions, particular amount of coming out of those trucks, having to go from a standstill to over the tracks and then up, have loaded down without, God knows, what the weight is. That's a load. Like if you have your car, when you have to drive, and you have a heavy load, you're gonna get significant more exhaust. I would like to know what that exhaust is. I mean, I think we need to know what that exhaust is, measured, as that happens. Again, if there's one or two trucks, if it is significant, because I think that's a question that people have. And we have to really look at what the real world applications of that is. So if the real world applications that you're not just driving around and not just the atmospheric pollution, but the specific pollution at the spot where people would be at. As the truck starts to accelerate from standing still to going forward, what is that? And then what would that be cumulative to somebody if they were swimming, if they were recreating in that area over time?
So if anybody had a question on that, I would just defer and point them to the.
I don't
the secret-
understand what you're asking for, like just their specific trucks, they want them. to-
Yeah, I'm saying,
But let me just back up, so what would be the purpose of establishing that? Like our trucks, because the planning board doesn't regulate mobile sources, so. It's sort of, it's.
well, it's not, well, it's not the idea of regulating the mobile sources, it's regulating the amount of particulate matter being expelled in a particular area.
So I'll rephrase, the planning board has no authority to regulate particulate matter from a mobile source. So that's under the purview of the EPA and the Clean Air Act and the DEC through the state implementation plan. I mean, the planning board can't set PM 2.5 emission levels. It's just.
I would like to know what it is though, I'm not saying, but it would be important to know what it is, right?
Then
If,
you're, if I would defer anybody that had any questions about the environmental impact of truck traffic from the quarry to the dock. To look at the environmental review that was done on the Hall Road, because all of that was covered in there by the town of Greenport, neg deck, by the traffic study, and by the permit that was issued by this board that allows us 284 truck trips.
Which is what you.
right, but that initial, as I understand it, that initial assessment, that initial seeker. Inquiry, right, was not based on what you then later said, like, wasn't it at a lower level with the Greenport, in 2015, right, when the Greenport. When did you, let me just back up.
Yep.
When did you get your seeker approval from Greenport?
So the seeker neg deck from Greenport might have been 20, no.
Oh,
Okay.
the neg deck, yeah, it was like 2015, 16. Right, so that was even before then you gave the numbers later that said 284 trips.
No, that's incorrect.
Randall,
So it was that 2019 when you gave the numbers.
So truck volume is irrelevant to traffic. study.
okay,
It is-
hold it, Randall, we wanna take a break?
You want to come back?
Yeah,
Retired? You take a break?
yeah, to go to the restroom, that would be nice.
Break?
Okay,
Another 5 minutes, drinking so much fluid.
okay, so,
Turn us off.
Right, so now I'm gonna pause. To be continued. Let me go there. Yeah. You're on.
Well, okay, we're back, what time is it? 8:45, and we're resuming the planning board meeting for August the 27th, special meeting for the doc application. Okay, just for time, because we have quite a few things to discuss, where people that, because after this, we have other discussions. So Randall, I understand your question, but do the board, others in the board feel that we want to ask them for what are the missions? What is the mission?
I guess, right, just to clarify what I was saying is that.
Yeah, what do you want?
I know that there was, hold on, I'm listening to the.
Randall, could you just make it a question, like what do you want to ask them for?
I guess what I'm specifically asking for is the real-time data of. If I were at the Dunn Warehouse, because that is now proposed as an area, a direct recreational area for kids. If you're at the, and I feel like there, as the trucks come and make, and from a standstill and go up, over the train tracks. That there is significant spot emissions that happening at that particular point. I understand, we're not the EPA, but we need, I'm just saying, if we're looking at safety. For the children that are gonna be in that area. I think it's critical for us to know what is, if at all, I mean, if at all, those diesel trucks are causing emissions in that particular spot.
Of course.
Over time.
Wait, okay,
That's my question.
Yes, and my response is that environmental review was done in full, and a deck was adopted at the haul room permit, and the haul room permit was issued, and it allows us to do 284 maximum trips, so. Of course, all vehicles have emissions, so I'm just asking, what is the point of gathering real-time emissions for us to provide to the board?
I want to ask the consultant, what
I think
kind of
he's looking for
formation
some
of
kind
a
of
question?
emission study, and what I would do is I would go around to the board and ask, who thinks
That's what I'm gonna do, but what kind of question is it? Is it
So-
a mission study?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm asking, kind of question, because I couldn't get it.
Okay, look, thanks.
So now, as a board, do we want to ask this applicant for an emission study?
I need more
on his-
specific than that. I mean, are we doing this so that we can change the number of trips that we've already
That's a good question.
guaranteed them?
Are we doing this, what?
My issue is to assess the safety of that particular area where trucks are going. Where trucks are spending more emissions in an area where they're gonna be kids, that's my question.
But then to what? To now, okay, it's hurting kids, now what?
Well, then we deal, that's the second step that we deal with, but we need to know that as a starting point.
But
I mean, we can't just ignore the fact that it may be hurting kids and then say, oh, we gotta throw our hands up, we can't do anything about it.
So.
That doesn't make sense.
So the emission study would be,
In one spot, where the Dunn Warehouse, where proposed pool recreation area is gonna be. I just wanna know, and as trucks accelerate past that point. Are those emission levels safe in
Okay.
that particular area? That's all I'm asking.
and we as a board have to decide whether we want to.
I still don't understand this. Is it just for when Colaruso's trucks are there? I mean, are they going to be able to pinpoint that?
Oh, yeah, we can do it before, with trucks and without trucks, of course.
Who can do it?
Well, the study can provide data with trucks and without trucks.
Okay, who are you asking?
Whose trucks? Just Colaruso's trucks in general?
I'm saying, well.
You're asking Columbus to do the study?
I'm asking that a study. be
I don't
done.
know if a study that's this specific and detailed is feasible, or if they do it. I mean, I don't understand how this happens. Who is this? A device, and then somebody has to review it and determine if it's a Colaruso truck, and if it's not a Colaruso truck, and what about if there's other trucks that on the other side of the intersection, how do we know they're not contributing? I mean, this is such a specific.
I think you can tell.
But we can vote on, as a planning board, whether or not
But I mean, I'm not necessarily opposed to
a study.
having the study done, but I don't know, then. Can we change the maximum amount of trucks they can?
I'm not
What does that
asking
say? So,
No, I'm not, all I'm asking is for us to have that data in order to assess safety in that particular area.
So then the question is,
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's the problem, is the data doesn't, I mean, what's the data for? Because there's other cars that go to the park, there's other.
Well,
trucks
but
that
I think,
drive to the
that
park.
you, when you commission a study, you can determine how you want the study to be operated and how you, and what are the parameters? So obviously you can indicate when a truck was here and came and made the left to go on Caluso, this was the level. You'll be able to see, the difference, if there is any difference in the levels as you turn, as opposed to a regular car.
Randall, who are you asking to do this study? Are you asking-
Now, it would be helpful for us to have it. I don't know who would do it. I'm just saying, I think that data is important.
And then my question is, what Veronica is saying, then what are we gonna do with that information once we have it? So there has to be.
I think you make a determination about safety based on the information that you get. It may be negligible and then there's not an issue.
But let's just say it shows massive emissions at that intersection.
Well, then I think that would give us pause to say.
No, but they're
that-
saying the massive emissions have to be from the Caluso, because this,
Exactly. Well, I'm saying, if, let's say, if somebody's there monitoring vehicle traffic, right? And they can, obviously, a person can tell the difference between trucks and cars, right? And you can write down, truck came here, this was the emission. Cars came here, this was the emission. Maybe there's no maybe there's a differential, no big deal.
And if there is a differential, but I think it's what I'm trying to get to,
Well, then, if there's a differential that rises to the level of posing a safety risk, then we have to understand, or either try to mitigate that risk, or try to understand what that risk is, and if we want to expose this area, as we're doing, as a planning board, looking at the safety concern, is that risk acceptable in that area?
but we kind of.
but that review has already been done when they permitted us to.
No, you're conflating things.
No, I'm
That
not.
a review was done, not this review.
That doesn't matter, there is no.
It's
It's a matter of law, the secret review is done, it is binding on the city of Hudson. The city of Hudson sued to say that it wasn't binding, to overturn the net deck and lost. The court upheld that. The environmental review on the whole road is complete.
I'm
The,
not talking about
this
the whole road.
planning
I'm
board,
talking about the dock. I am not talking about the whole road.
No,
I'm
you
talking
are
about
talking
the dock.
well, the park's not in the dock.
The park is next to the dock, and we're responsible
Okay,
for
so
areas
let's-
adjacent
let-
to the
let's-
dock.
Right, it was.
We're responsible for the health and safety.
Hello?
You tell me.
Randall?
Wait, I found the numbers you guys asked.
Okay.
Okay, hold on, let's wait a minute, let's not get out of hand here, okay, this is not the way we do business, okay? Let's calm down, everybody take a breath here, okay, because we're talking, we're not arguing. We don't do business that way, okay?
Can I say
Okay,
something?
yes, you may.
I'm gonna say 95% of our trucks, well, all the trucks that we run down to the dock have, diesel particulate filter.
Okay, so now, Victoria,
I'm not
No, I'm just
saying
saying,
that they don't.
how do you determine if it's our truck or the train?
then that's something we're gonna talk about.
We can have a conversation because we're not doing a particular.
Okay,
matter.
let's let Victoria talk for this one, let's not get out of hand.
So I was just going back to the information that you asked for earlier. So in the DGEIS in 2009, the information that we have that was relied on for the 2011 study was about 160 photo trips per day. When the applicant came back, they submitted the traffic study up to 284 trips per day. And that was done by Creighton Manning, and it was last revised October 30th, 2020, and it was reviewed by the planning board's consulting engineer. So that is the last traffic study. So I think that's what he was talking about earlier. It does talk about 284 trips, so we should go back and do that.
But that's a traffic study,
Right,
that's
that's a
not,
traffic study.
that's not an emission study, right?
Correct, that's not the emission study, but I was giving you the information you asked for
Okay.
earlier.
So, but-
Emissions are, the EPA regulates the emissions and what
Right.
trucks can produce.
Right.
That's not a planning board
Understood,
decision to decide what a truck can produce.
understood.
So unless their trucks are outside of operating, they don't have to kind of converter on or something and producing more. That's not a planning board issue.
So what you're saying, if I understand correctly, is that you feel that this study would not reveal that there are abnormal or dangerous particulate levels in that particular area?
Coming from Caluso, this is what you said.
Yeah, but just what, just,
I'm sure there's guidelines what trucks can produce. I don't know them off the top of my head. I'm not an emission guy. But I don't think you're going to find a study saying that their trucks are producing more than that emission level.
So when you did your original POSDEX, which was struck down by the court, so it's not binding,
Mhm.
you found the impacts on air to be moderate for. Project will not result in moderate to large impacts on air. No air permits will be needed. There will be an increase in fossil fuel consumption by heavy machinery. However, the board has determined an increase in vehicle and equipment emissions are minor and temporary and are not anticipated to have any measurable impact on local air quality. Now, you're not bound to
Was that
that.
us or the
That was you.
2020?
That was your POSDEX.
Oh, that was the 2021 iteration.
Right, that's what, that wasn't,
Yeah, so it's, you're not bound to it.
right, I'm saying, but that wasn't
Prior
this.
board, when they looked at it, and the engineer, your consultant, the prior 2021 board hired, did not think there was an impact on air at that time. So that's just some food for thought, you're not bound by it.
Okay, but all I'm
But
saying
there
is
were
that,
studies they relied on to do this POSDEX.
all I'm saying is that the emergent reality now is that the land wasn't planned, like before where the park is pretty far down. Where we're talking about now, where the Dunn warehouse is, which is probably, I don't know, 200 feet away from your operations. That's now being planned as a public pool, which now makes it a different application in my eyes than when you were looking at it before. Because before the park was much further away and
The
it's.
entire lot has always been a farm. And that was reviewed, and seeker was done on that, and this planning board permitted us 284 trips. Knowing the environmental impacts that were gonna occur, reviewing the environmental impacts for about 7 years, litigating the environmental impacts for several years, and then adopting and giving us a permit that says we can have 284 maximum trips a day. Finding that that was protective of human health and the environment. That's all my position is. That's already been done, and we're not going backwards to review truck traffic
I'm just not satisfied with
with the permit that you issued us.
With that particular finding of pollution in that particular.
But it was your finding.
It wasn't my finding, it was a board. It was this board's, but not my
Okay.
board. I was not here. So I'm telling you what from my perspective.
We issued, your name is on the permit.
Not 2021.
No.
Can I make a point about this? This secret review was done by Greenport
Correct.
about a Hall Road application. The city of Hudson is now reviewing the operation for a CUP. And though we are not doing seeker, we are still not just, allowed to, but obligated to do everything we can to assess the environmental impact on the citizens of Hudson as this operation is adjacent to not just a public park, but many proposed new developments and commercial district. So the fact that that seeker was done is relevant to some part of it, but not to all parts of it. And we have, this code in front of us that obligates us to look at this from every possible angle we can to make sure we're doing everything we can to protect our citizens.
I completely agree with that statement. It is not relevant to everything, but it is, what I'm trying to make is it is relevant and is binding the prospective truck traffic between the quarry and the door of the dock.
But the operations at the dock are related to that. So it's a little bit tricky here.
Correct, but what I'm saying is no matter what the emissions are, that was already looked at, and we were already permitted 284 truck trips from the quarry to the dock. So a further emission study is irrelevant because the studies were already done. The evaluation-
I have one more question.
One at a time, please. Okay, Gabby, stop.
From what I understand and can find in the files, there has never been a seeker done by the city of Hudson about the dock operations, is that correct?
Because it's a type 2 action, so it can't be done.
Wait, that's not quite true. So the planning board did do a sequence. And adopted a POSDEC in 2021, which is what I was reading from a little bit earlier.
Yes.
And that's what the court said we couldn't do. They said we are not permitted to do our own seeker.
Right.
It is a type 2 action.
Right, so I mean, there's never been a completed legal all the way to the end, review, secret review, done of these dock operations by the
Well,
city of
I mean, technically, it's done because it's not.
Well,
Yeah, so we've never done an environmental, like a full environmental impact study.
That's what it was asked for.
So that's I'm not, this is not your problem, it's not Coloruso's problem, it's our problem, I see it as our problem as the planning board of the city of Hudson. That this city has a big industrial operation in our one, waterfront park area that we have never had a full environmental assessment done of. So I think what Randall and I support Randall in this is trying to do is use every other means we can to do our best as a board to protect our citizens in any way that we can,
And-
because that's our duty here.
And what do you ask, you're asking also for?
I'm helping to explain,
No, yeah, are you also supporting that we should have an emission study?
oh yes, but I'm also just helping to explain, I think, why this is such a tricky conversation.
Okay, so you're also asking for something that.
And I just want to add one thing, I know
really
that
wanna-
Coloruso
Move on.
does many things for the town,
It's not
and I
true,
believe
though.
that.
It's all of us, so.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, and I believe that you guys wanna be, I'm sorry, just finish. I believe that you guys wanna be, you are and wanna continue to be good corporate citizens of this town. Why wouldn't you wanna know?
Well, it's. I wanna ask a
Because
question.
you said to
Because we
me.
spent hundreds of thousands of dollars
I know, but-
trying to get a permit, and this was studied.
I know, but you said to me that if it was dangerous, what are you gonna do about it?
Okay,
I mean, that's kind of what, but that's my takeaway. You said, if it was dangerous, if those levels were dangerous, what are you gonna do?
Well, I think other members.
But
of the
wouldn't you
planning
wanna
board-
know? Wouldn't you wanna know if they were dangerous?
can I
It's
answer that?
irrelevant to
Randall?
It's not relevant to the people that are gonna be down there.
Okay,
How could it be irrelevant?
Let me answer that.
Sure.
Randall, I wanna answer that. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. But the last study that the planning board did, that the court denied, was that they put the applications together.
Right.
And in that,
Improperly.
right, and the attorneys, everybody saying you can't do it, but the board took it upon themselves to go ahead and do that. So this is where we are now, and they were given a positive stat at that time, which meant they were asked to do an environmental study, am I right? For a full environmental study, and the court said, no. They don't have to do that, right?
Yeah.
So now what I'm hearing
I'm
is.
not asking for a full I'm not asking for a full
Okay, so what is it?
environmental study. What I'm saying is that if this is an issue, and it may not be, I mean, I understand when you're saying that, it's that the particular matters
I asked the question.
and what the applicant stated was that the particulate matter coming out of the trucks is filtered in such a way, and maybe it's not an issue at all. But my thing is that if we've come all this way, money's been spent, we should be sure that we are acting in the best interest of the public and that it is a safe project.
By asking for,
And my only issue at this point is just to know that if that area is not producing, a dangerous amount of particulate.
from his trucks.
Yeah, for his trucks in specific, then I would have no problem. But I think that we owe it to ourselves, having gone through this process, to have this question answered.
Now, you have something?
I was gonna say, the authority of the planning board here is that you're issuing a conditional use permit.
Yes,
And so conditional uses are uses that are permitted so long as they meet certain criteria. And so the criteria that you're talking about is F2A. Emissions of dust, smoke, gas, odor, or air pollution or by reason of the deposit, discharge, or dispersal of liquid or solid waste in any form, in a manner or amount as to cause permanent damage to the soil or waters shall not adversely affect the surrounding area or create a nuisance. So I think this is the one that you're working on, that you want to ensure that emissions are not going to accumulate in the soil or the air or create a nuisance. So, I mean, I know you're asking for an air study, but
I mean, maybe it's a better way I'm not saying there's
I think it's on.
all the ways to figure
applicant
that out, but I think.
Tell
it's
us
incumbent on us.
how they're meeting that standard. And
Well, I think that we've all met that standard since 2015, since they purchased the dock.
But-
We've always been in compliance with.
well, maybe
emissions
that's, I mean,
across
maybe that's
the
how, but I think you need to tell us
Yeah.
how you're meeting that standard.
How do you know?
Your trucks have.
How do you see it meeting that standard?
On it.
Because we've never received a notice of violation for dust from the code enforcement officer.
I'm not being argumentative.
Yeah, no,
I'm
no,
asking
just, I mean, it's just
to
exciting.
Tell us,
Okay.
explain how you meet that standard,
So-
so you wanna do the narrative, and we talked earlier about a particular filter, I don't know what else you're doing, but.
If the board would like
Yes.
us to respond to that, or if the board, I'm not sure if the board's asking us.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get here. Do we as a board want him to respond to that as to how he is meeting those standards or?
Yeah,
Do your
Okay,
trucks
I'm with that.
have to go through vehicle inspections yearly with emission testing?
Yes.
Yes, so all their trucks have to go through a yearly inspection, just like your cars do, where they hook up a hose to make sure it meets EPA guidelines. And
Yeah, I just don't
And
see
they
how
get a
it's relevant to
sticker.
the.
Do you get a
planning
sticker?
board.
But
Yeah.
have multiple trucks, sometimes idling, you know, one after another next to a park and recreation center where our kids were gonna be, that's very different than our cars.
They're not
You know.
supposed to.
Yeah, they're not.
But they just said that they
So
are.
I wanna get to a point where, do we as a planning board want to, impose that?
I would like to.
I think the issue has to be investigated, if it's safe.
I mean, if
then
we can just
go.
address it in a narrative form, I mean, I'm fine with that, I don't think there needs to be any additional study.
So it's already been done. I already submitted, gave
Well, I don't,
I kind of think it's a done deal, and it's being regulated by the EPA and so many other places, how about you?
I don't think the narrative would hurt.
Okay, so that's two for narratives, and you for narrative too? Narrative for you
No,
too?
I-
No, you're for actual study. You two for narrative.
no one's actually done what
We
we're
need
asking.
to, he said he would.
What is the narrative?
Oh, so,
It's,
okay, I was reading the section of.
Oh, yeah, I have it here.
Okay, so just saying, I think Randall's trying to come under that section, but is there? I said the applicant should also advise us how it's meeting that standard.
that would be in a narrative, that would be in a narrative.
Yes.
In other words, he'll tell us how they're meeting those standards and so many.
Right, but I
If
mean,
we're
but-
not satisfied with that, we can request further studies.
right, but I don't know that Hudson has the ability or the background to go around and do an air quality test in any particular, I don't know if it's ever even been done in Hudson. So to say that it's never been reported that there was, pollution there is sort of specious, because I don't think they reported about anyone. But yet there's some trucks that go down the road that, run, whatever, the heavy fuel and the grade 2, whatever it is, diesel, and
Okay,
so
so
you can see that it's dirty, so,
Do we even know what we're asking for, or what Randall's asking for?
okay,
It can be done.
I know you've seen it, so I've seen it.
so, okay, let's go down. I wanna know,
Is the specific study that Randall's asking for, can something like that be done?
I mean, I'm not an engineer, I just know that I used to represent oil and gas tribes, and they were very hard to get monitoring systems on natural gas filters pulling from the ground for single point solution. For when we know there's pollution coming out for extra gas, they were very hard to read, very hard to monitor, that's why the Clean Air Act is so specific.
Can you
does
just
the
distinguish which truck, could you? put
They
this
don't-
in a way-
I'm not an engineer, I cannot answer that question. Yes.
Yeah.
I can find an answer, I'm not an emission guy.
Yeah, I mean, I worry that it's going to be similar results to the one that was submitted to the board earlier, and we're left with, we can't pinpoint that this is a problem caused from the specific,
But-
entity.
You do have trains down there that idle when they stop and they stay running.
we have to
There's
put down.
cars, it's gonna be.
One at a time.
But let me just ask this question, it's not a blind study where we don't know what is surrounding, what the vehicles are surrounding the area. You will know when there's a train there, you will know when there's only a truck, you will know when it's a car. I mean,
But there's aftermath of admissions when those vehicles also leave,
Right.
so how do you?
Differentiating between the vehicles, it's differentiating single point solution, not single point pollution, not sorry. It's very hard to pick a particular truck each time to get those numbers, I think is the point that.
And if it's not idling, if it's just coming and going, I mean, that's a moment, and you have several traffic, others
Mhm.
following it, coming the other direction. It's not, I'm opposed to the study, I just can't fathom a study that's gonna give you the answer you're looking for.
I I think there are very sophisticated
I think
systems
they
to
can do
monitor
better,
this
in my
kind of
mind.
thing.
See, there we go again with what we think.
Yeah,
We need
I
facts.
think we
Yeah, he's,
should.
Chris, I can check this.
We can't go by our opinion, we have to
Yeah,
go
I
by.
think we
this.
need an answer to is if there's any sort of study that offers this kind of detailed information.
Right. Okay, that's the question. If there is. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you know, I can't ask for what doesn't exist, but I think that, again, we owe it to the public.
No public, we're not gonna.
No,
No, I'm not gonna do
I'm
somebody.
just saying that we should be as do our due diligence and find this out. I mean, look, that's my only point.
Okay, so we agree with finding out if there is. can be a-
If there's a test to.
We all agree with that.
Yes.
Yeah, agree. Okay, the majority agrees. Okay, so we'll move on with that. We're gonna find out.
Yeah, I think there were several letters that provided like a device or something that was.
Okay, so that's what we agreed to. Okay, so now. Okay, let's not go backwards. Let's just go now. We were talking about the lighting, right?
I thought we were done with that.
The lighting is done. The visual impact, anybody have anything to say?
I think
Okay.
we're still.
All right, visual impact, and then after that is the public access. There was talk about, wasn't it, you know. Was there talk about people using the dock for recreation? You know,
It's been raised.
To go to the.
No, I think they were talking about actually using the dock.
They're not.
I thought I read something like they wanted to use the dock.
And that has been used for different events that have occurred. I saw they had that open.
On the dock.
You know, the whole road
Oh,
itself
okay.
for different events.
Okay, so
There's I think two different public access issues. One is to the 4.4 lot in the south.
that's the other part of their portion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's what something with it.
So
like
access to that, and then potential recreational access use
For
on
the
the Hall
road.
Road when
Yes.
it's
Okay.
not being used by
But
stores.
that other lot is their property.
It
No,
is their
it's not.
property. It is.
Yeah, it is.
It's
The 4.4 acre parcel?
Yeah, I think it's
It's
theirs.
they just don't use it.
No, it's the city of Hudson's.
We pay the tax on it, so, yeah,
Yeah, that's
Well,
what you said.
according to the
So
city's
does that mean
records.
you own it?
couldn't help it,
Is that
pay the
in there?
tax.
So,
Have you been paying taxes? Hold it.
I'll settle this right now. The
Have you
city
been
owns it,
paying-
you don't need our permission to put public access.
Right. Have
well,
you been paying the taxes for 7
That's
years?
There you go.
Right, but you can't, there's no evidence made against the city for that.
Oh.
So the issue with that is whether or not, I think, if I'm recalling correctly, whether the permissive referendum or something was done properly many years ago. I don't think that right now, title is with the private entity until something happens. If either there's a case or a judgment that says otherwise.
Meaning
So
it-
that's what
The title is with them?
I
With
think
the,
that
Hudson.
that's voided as far as I can.
I mean, I am unaware if that happened in the past few years, but that's been the issue. There's been a cloud on the title.
Yeah, that's.
Oh,
fine.
meaning you don't know who's on.
No, I mean, an
The issue, they're paying
issue.
taxes on
An
it.
issue's been raised about whether or not they have good title to the property, but we haven't delved into that because it's not part of the planning board. That's not a planning board issue. That is
Yeah.
that's a city issue.
Okay, so public access would be around the sides of your property and the road. What was the information on?
I think that was it, but it's a non-issue right now. I believe.
Well, I mean, the question is, are you asking for public access as part of this?
And then what would that look like?
Like,
Two things, access to the Hall Road for recreational use during off hours.
this application.
So we're,
Can we ask
we're
for
just-
home road at this application?
we're just talking about,
But as part of the application review for the operation, we're asking for access to the Hall Road. For
But help me to
recreational use.
understand, haven't you opened up the whole road for certain events that have occurred?
Yes, we opened it up for this pot show.
In fact,
We let all his people in and we gave him full access.
did you have it open for Flag Day as well?
Flag Day as well, yes. Yeah.
But I felt earlier in the meeting, we had asked that it's closed and gated when they're not.
So who gets the holiday here?
I don't-
It is.
No, it's closed to truck, closed the truck traffic, now we're talking about it being used as a recreational.
But that would mean that.
I think that's a huge safety
Yeah.
issue, because you'd be relying on the public to know exactly when.
And it's
It's
something
truck
that,
traffic on the road.
but I think
so-
it's something that we should leave it up to you and whoever's asking.
Sure.
Right,
And not us, because. In other words, special events, when the road is closed, they close their road when they're not using it.
Yeah,
So maybe somebody wanted to do an event, they would have to go to them and ask, we shouldn't get involved with that. You know, giving automatic public access to their property, because who's liable for it? So I think that should be between the applicant and whoever decides, well, yes, and if I use the whole road.
so when it's, when we say it's closed off to their trucks, just the hauling trucks or the employee trucks on the weekends when they're going
It's
to?
got gates, I think it's close to everybody.
I know, I'm asking, is,
Oh.
when we say it's closed to hauling trucks, is that hauling trucks or all Colorado?
Our condition said all road is closed.
Meaning to
Yeah, so-
everybody, right? Yeah.
I mean, I think we were only anticipating particular traffic, but if.
Yeah.
But they did say they're gonna let customers use it.
But not when it's closed.
Now it's,
Correct.
okay, so when it's closed to everything.
yes.
Correct.
Unless, you make a deal with some if you and another entity make a deal, then that's between you.
Okay, so.
But I think it was open, excuse me, I think it was open, was it not open on a weekend or a weekday when you had the fireworks and a few other things? There was a special deal that you
Flag
had,
Day,
yeah, Flag Day, if I remember correctly, because I know I needed to go through that way to try to go home, because everything else was blocked off.
And it's city essence.
So what Gabby was asking for though is, there was at one point in the negative declaration, there was some discussion of having the hall road be used for recreational purposes on the weekend. It didn't make it through the process, and so what is, is that a possibility?
And
That's.
so, if you put that in writing, we can respond.
Yeah,
Okay.
like response to that.
Oh, what I would say is, I would like to leave that up to the applicant and whoever wants to do it, because. I mean, for us to give them access to their property, that's liable.
Yeah.
But we're talking about public access.
That's what I mean, for
Right,
us to
it's
give
private
public
property,
access
so-
to private property, who becomes liable?
It's
Okay, so I
just
think we
ensuring-
need to stay out of that.
Yeah.
But it's only my opinion,
No.
because,
Well, to foreshadow our response, we've looked into it after that came up, and it's just a liability issue
Right,
to
I
allow
think it's-
people
yeah.
with the trucks.
cause we're gonna
But
get,
I thought there were no trucks on the weekends,
Correct, but then if people start using it off hours,
but if it's only open to them on the weekends.
There's liability, there's insurance that have to be worked out.
Okay,
it's, they private property, and it's a commercial use, and it's just completely inappropriate.
because when you do something
Tied
in the park,
recreational use.
every time there's an event in a park, whoever's hosting that event has insurance, they have to get insurance, they have to get a permit.
Correct.
From the city, they have to get insurance. So I don't think us as the planning board really should get involved with that. It's, that's my opinion, and that's the way I would.
well, it's an interesting topic because the road, the whole thing is cutting off access to the South Bay, which, we'll have to clarify exactly who owns that, but that's a huge swath of land that, hopefully in the future will be accessible to Hudson residents, so I think it should be discussed a little bit more when we have the facts clear.
If it's a private road, I don't know if it can be discussed, I mean, if it's.
So access to the South Bay, definitely.
So if access to the South Bay, so right now, people can take whatever position they want based on public comments or based on their review of the county records. Our position is that that is a privately owned parcel that has absolutely nothing to do with this application, so we're not going to agree to any conditions that have anything to do with that parcel. If it is not, and we're wrong, and it's city property, then the appropriate party to seek for public access to that would be the city of Hudson.
Oh, we're talking about that extra spot.
Correct.
And then
It
on
doesn't.
the whole road itself, down by that old trestle that goes across, isn't that where your gate is?
Yeah.
And the gate is. Tracks are here, and the gate is to the left, so you still have access to the swamp area down.
Then you go right.
DSS has
Right, They just-
fall for a road access.
A service
for
road.
traffic, a service
in the
road.
service road that goes down
That's still valid.
south on the tracks, but vehicles with your gate being closed cannot access the South Bay area.
Correct.
Because if you
The
get,
9G, correct.
Now, this for my information. It looks like now you guys have a traffic signal like on Third Street, you're going out of town, like you're showing two poles on both sides. Are you gonna do like a traffic device or something, or?
Flashing.
Good.
There's gonna be a sensor on the road when a truck pulls up, light will. Turn the sensor will turn the light on.
And so those lights gonna be faced toward the public, the people on the road. Excellent.
They'll only flash when a truck's coming up to the intersection.
and you've got temporary lights up there now.
Yes, but we have
Are they,
temporary,
are the operational,
DOT gave us permission to put temporary
Yeah.
light there.
are they operational, those lights?
No, they're not, no,
Would
there's no grid.
Just a sign, wait for that.
Did you put like, truck crossing or anything, any signage?
I think it would be interesting if when you give us your updated site plan, you show how access could be provided to that area. Or that you're not including it at least, should it,
Specific to what area?
the 4.4 acres.
But there's no access, right? We just said that.
Can the public access that property?
No, they can't. With the
No,
gate process.
Or no, that can just consider how it happened or whether it be precluded.
But-
Hold on, whatever.
Some perfect houses will actually.
It's a private property and there is no public access.
Because even that road belongs, who does the road belong to?
I think it's-
It belongs to the train,
Correct.
the railroad.
So,
And I know they don't want anyone.
And we can respond in. So we're not doing it on this phone.
Okay, so what was the next one? And you did get your floodplain permit.
Correct. Yeah, and all that work is being completed.
Okay, loading and unloading operation at the dock should be conducted in a manner designed to minimize adverse effects on water quality. I think we talked about that. That's talking about.
I mean, it's up to the board, but.
Kind of think we.
They're not really
I was
talking
talking
about
about that first.
They're probably popular,
Right, it is.
the purpose of the preparedness for everything.
Okay, and the construction and all that, that's already done.
But I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear what you were reading and then everybody said we already talked about that.
Okay, loading and unloading operations at the dock should be conducted in a manner designed to minimize adverse effects on water quality, fish, wildlife, vegetation, water flow, and the permitted use on adjoining properties. And I think the way the dock is designed is just all your operation, but you'll see it when you go down there.
Right, but it seems to me that one way that could be looked at is that on the weekends and holidays, the park is protected from the effects of the loading. Right, is that in there or not? I'm sorry, I'm getting so tired, I might be.
What effects would those be?
The noise, the dust, the sight, I mean, there are a lot of effects of the loading of barges.
So we submitted a noise study that shows that while in operation, we're completely in compliance with the code. It also suggested some best management practices that we can implement to further mitigate any noise. And we think that if those were put into the permit, that those would be sufficient, that even operating on the dock without hauling on the weekends would be completely in compliance with the code.
Right, but we can also suggest other options.
Suggest.
Yeah, it's within,
Yeah, what exactly would you like to suggest?
well, I'm just supporting my further suggestion that there be no activity on the weekends, so as to protect park and the experience for people at the park, which is definitely affected by the loading and unloading of barges.
What did we do as a, what did we say as a final vote about that?
We didn't come to a decision, it was a discussion.
It was a discussion. I had said that we did not, I would like to limit it, but not.
So you asked what the minimum was, how many per week?
I think you also were waiting for Gabby and Veronica to go to the site and ask.
Oh, yes, that's right, thank you.
Which is completely fair.
Right, and then we come back.
Yeah, I mean, I spend a lot of time in the park, so I've
I've
definitely.
been down
experienced the
there
loading,
and
but
I've
I'd like
seen
to
it,
see
but I don't necessarily know if at a time when they're doing activity. Like, I've never noticed the noise, but
Either.
they also could have not been loading a barge or something, I don't know.
I've been to the park once or twice and saw the loading, you know, I saw how the driver was going into the barge, that's all I could see.
Yeah,
I did not see the pile. To tell you the truth, I couldn't see the truck that it was, I just saw the, whatever
conveyor.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
going down. And I didn't hear the noise.
Can I ask a question? I just want to go back and revisit the hours for a minute. Because there are plans and that I understand to build like a residential area. Along right where the what's that, the old cast back,
Because
and do you normally start at 7? So there's no room for that to be like 7:30 or whatever, because if there's gonna be a hotel in residential areas, 7 is kind of early to.
Well, we are operating now, you know, and there may be a lot of things that go on in the future. And I don't think we should be, limited from what we're already doing.
And what,
To me, I'm looking at that.
Okay,
Well,
just-
Right,
just
if
throw it out
somebody's
there.
coming to town, all of a sudden, oh, Colorusa's got to stop doing this and stop conducting.
we're gonna come back to that.
the code asks us to limit, the
We're
code
gonna
asks us to limit it.
Yeah, we're going to come back to that once they go. And we're gonna come back to that issue about about the times, okay?
Okay.
So just to, you know, for a good time, I think we went over everything. Is there any other questions?
I just wanna point out that there was a right of way map. That was prepared by Barton and Judas in 2021 that showed how. Access could be provided to the southern portion of that property.
To the southern portion of which property?
Of the Colorado property, beyond the area of work. So, I guess we're on the 4 acres.
So the separate parcel.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I know what you're talking about.
this one,
It was talking about carving 50 feet off the property. Zero right away.
And we didn't agree to that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, do you have to cross the railroad tracks?
No,
No,
they would be taking their private land. Or their land and deed it to the city, or giving an easement over it.
Yes, then we did not agree to that.
okay.
well, I mean, I'm
I'm
just
just wondering,
wondering.
reticent to like be amenable to anything that would be in a good faith neighborly act for this. the
Anything they
citizens
do
of
it brought up
Hudson.
so far is to restrict our business. You
Well,
haven't
but
brought up
that's
anything
what-
else.
that's-
No, you're only restricting business, that's what you're here for.
No, I'm here to do my job as a planning board member, and I'm saying that I'm disappointed that you don't seem to have any interest in meeting us halfway anywhere. There seems to be.
Millions of dollars in this
Yes,
property.
we've invested our lives and our children's lives in this.
Let's calm down,
So
please.
that's more valuable to some of us
Let's
than
calm
mine.
down.
It's our responsibility to meet you halfway.
Okay.
Well, it's our responsibility to do our best to
Could you
protect our
please,
citizens.
please calm down, and you two, stop it. Okay, this is not the place to argument or like that, we don't do business like that, okay? We're not gonna do business like that.
Sometimes I do.
Okay, well, you're not gonna do it here, okay?
I'm doing my best.
All right. So what were you saying?
What I was thinking was, maybe some kind of off-road session, which could be contingent on that ever becoming parkland. So that we're not precluding the city from having that access, should the city ever get that land in the future.
But the city gets that land, oh, I see what you're saying.
Because they need to,
Well, if the city
take
gets,
a look at, I'm gonna email you this, so we can.
I understand, I'm copping out for saying, city in the future filed some sort of quiet title action against Colorado, which is the only way to be able to sort of entitle this, if it is even in question. And that became city property, and it is landlocked. The city would have a easement by necessity to travel along that road, which I think is a CSX road.
They would
So-
have to file for the easement by necessity, so all I'm saying is maybe we can plan for something like that, or show that it's not gonna be precluded. I'm gonna send you this from 2020.
Sure,
And then.
and we can respond, but I understand what you're asking.
Okay.
Okay, so, any other questions that we have not covered that are pertaining to this application that anybody on the board would like to ask? Because if not, we're gonna move on. And, we want to thank you for your appearance, and we're gonna try and compile all of our stuff together, you could still, planning board, you could still email the, attorneys, any question that you might have come up with, you know, after this, all right?
How do we wanna move forward? I mean, does it make sense for us to kind of draft some conditions and then we can actually talk through the language?
Yeah, in other words, what our conditions and what the public has proposed. I was hoping that you can get them all together and we can view it and kind of pull out something. I mean, what would you guys like to do? How would you, you know, it's up to the board. I'm one person of the seven, so it's, I need some feedback from everybody. Yeah. Because
Before
like I
we
said
draft
before,
conditions, can't we see the updated plans? That we've asked them to submit, is
Yeah.
that what happens before we would give them conditions?
right, have you looked at some of the old stuff on the?
I looked at everything, it's all right here,
Good.
yeah, but those are.
And everybody else been through the history, because it is a long history, that's for sure. Okay, so,
So to be clear, are we expecting a letter from, expecting a letter from the planning board that'll say, we're looking for landscaping plan, a general site just.
I think you should give the board a submission based on. The discussion tonight, which addresses, I mean, I don't, some of the public hearing comments, I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you could
Right.
fill in, because I don't think you ever gave us a
No.
response to those public hearing
No,
comments.
no.
So. You should provide submission, including the most recent site plan, the landscaping plan, anything else.
would you be able to send that to him? In an email, and then since it's some. What you
Send
just
what I
said,
just said,
what you just said,
okay.
okay, we can email it to you. And so you see all of us on it, so we'll know what is being asked by us, okay?
I'll have to go through the notes. 'cause it's
Right.
a Little.
Well, it'll be there, okay, so we can move on. So, okay, thank you.
And I have one more question about process, will then it just,
So you're asking the attorneys that, right? Yeah.
sure, or you and the attorneys, I'm not sure who will answer this, but. Will then this application move forward in the same way that other applications move forward, like just become part of the regular monthly agenda?
So, I mean, it can, I think, because there've been so many people interested in it, and because this conversation was, they've gone, it made sense to have a special meeting.
Right, but I'm asking on moving forward.
I think that's up to you guys, it's not, I mean, it's not a legal reason either way.
Well, just in terms of process, we're gonna
We'll finish,
draft this
yeah.
letter, get it to him, our. New conditions or thoughts on his application, and he's gonna respond to that as well as the public.
I don't think-
No, I'm not giving them any
You
conditions.
haven't voted on any conditions that you all agree
We're
on.
waiting for their site.
They're gonna submit a site plan with landscaping or whatever condition that they potentially want to, out of this meeting. And then that'll be your starting point for where you could, leap off.
Okay, that's just, right.
So you're gonna say yay or nay for landscaping, yay or nay for the lighting, you'll go point by point and say yay or nay, or if you have to make more conditions. Or get them to change it, just like a normal.
We're asking them to.
They'll have their hours of operation on there,
The
their
bar,
pest control
flow,
measure.
Tonnage, all of that.
And then we're gonna also wait until they go see the application come back, they'll have a better understanding of everything together.
But when are we gonna get his response to the public comments? That's it, I'm just trying to get things.
So are we gonna be ready for the next meeting, which is in 2
2
weeks?
weeks, probably.
No, we're gonna probably have another special meeting just to cover some.
Well, that's what I was just asking, so
Yes.
we're gonna continue to have special meetings, so it's gonna become.
It's just that this particular application is too, in my opinion, too lengthy to go with others, so therefore we kind of have 2 meetings, like today, we had 72 on the agenda. So if we do 2 meetings a month, one was college, so, and if something else comes up, we can put it on there. If we have a hard stop, we're gonna have to have 2 meetings a month. If we do a hard stop, that means everything that we did not get to, we have to have another meeting this month to host the applicants that are there, so.
So that happens often.
No, that's why we try to avoid the hard stop. Nobody wants another meeting.
Well, that's why I'm asking, why?
Hard stuff.
We had it because we were running over, but when we realized that it means another meeting.
So do we need to set another?
Yeah, we should, yeah, for next, we're gonna have 2 meetings next month, that's a must.
Right.
And when we go on, we gotta talk about October, we've got Glasgow to talk about, we got a lot of things to talk about other than just college, so I wanna let them go. and we're gonna move on now. Okay, all right?
So we're not setting the date for the,
Oh.
That's
for the
what I-
special-
that's not-
You you guys wanna set the date for, to have two meetings and,
Can we vote on having 2 meetings a month? I mean,
no, not every, no, I don't suggest that we vote to just have two meetings a month. When it's necessary. That's what I'm gonna go for. If it's necessary to have it, then we need to have it. We need a form, but not just to sit here and say, well, two meetings a month.
Right.
Combining this with another regular meeting, I don't think it would work.
Yeah.
You've gone on for 3 hours now, 3.5.
Exactly, on one project,
but couldn't we
it's not the
limit the
vote.
amount of time we give to, each applicant? so
Yeah,
that
that's
it's-
why we separate them, because we wanna give them the ample time. If we joined them with someone else, we would still probably be here at 12 midnight. So that's why we separate it's not just them, we separated others, you just got here.
I
So
know,
we
that's
have
why I'm
separated
asking.
we have separated other applicants that were big and elaborate. We've separated.
Okay, so that was my question. This
Yeah.
is a normal part of the.
Yes, it's the normal part of our function, okay?
Only for more complicated.
Right, for whenever it's necessary. Okay?
So do we vote on that?
We're gonna vote today on having, have you separated from our regular meeting in September, which is what, September 8th?
It would be eight, yes.
September 9th?
So let me just look.
September 9th. Our next regular planning board meeting is September the 9th, Tuesday. No, that's October, we gotta talk about that. Okay, so when,
Do you wanna do the 16th?
we can't do it, because I have to get the calendar. Do I have the calendar? I don't have these, I have to have the September calendar. Can we just say that we're gonna have another meeting? I set out the dates.
You know, he must look at the
That's
city
fine,
council.
so you don't need to identify the date at this very moment, you can schedule it and call a meeting.
Okay, we can schedule and then check the dates, because I need the September calendar. Do you have anything? Anybody, you have
You can look
a
at the city council, you know what the silly city.
Yes, city.
Yeah, so no one else, the city, I can bring.
Okay, can you access this? Let him access the September, calendar for the city. And we'll see if we can get a date, because it depends on who's available.
The new mayor's going up to the calendar.
You just said-
Everybody.
Oh, that.
Can you bring that to us? Because my computer's down. After, now our computers go down.
Make sure that's for September, not October.
Oh,
Right, I mean, the 16th, Teresa?
that's what I was thinking of here, I'm gonna put away anymore.
When we,
We have a meeting tonight, and we'll turn around and.
Yeah, 16 is open.
and the 16th is open? Wait a minute, no, wait a minute, common council do something on the 15th, right?
That's Monday, so Tuesday's open.
Okay,
Yeah. Let me
okay,
see, I
so you
got,
say 16th, y'all wanna do that?
So we're gonna have a meeting on the 9th and turn around the next following week and have another meeting?
For council.
So Carla, so it
Maybe
is,
they could run a forum
Well,
then.
do you have a lot on the agenda for the night? I mean, is it?
so I know, so I said, no, the Tuesday the 16th, I see a finance committee meeting.
What's on the 23rd? I mean, give.
And a regular,
You got it out.
23rd is open as well.
I mean, you have a light agenda on the night.
we don't have a later agenda.
What about the 23rd?
The
The
23rd,
9th and the 23rd.
The 23rd is open right now.
how about the 23rd?
Right, 23rd is Rosh Hashanah.
What's that?
It's a Jewish holiday.
So,
I mean, you can, but some people might feel that, but
Our other meeting was canceled that night, full because of.
oh, okay, we don't wanna violate Rosh Hashanah.
What is that?
Yeah, I don't think.
What is that?
Jewish holiday.
No, I said, I didn't say what was that, I said when.
Oh, the 23rd.
I'm not that.
What about the 30th? That's the-
We haven't done that.
But I didn't know when it was.
It's a month from now.
Are you available?
So that's,
My 30th is far away. It's a month from now.
How about you, available?
I'm tired.
Okay, hello, how about the 23rd? 23rd,
23rd.
that's young,
You guys.
I'm fine with the 23rd, I've been asking for that.
Gary?
I thought we just said that was Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah, 23rd, yes or no?
Well, some people observe it, but I don't know.
Well, can we talk about the 30th, just so nobody,
No.
you're at time.
Yeah, that's the day for my birthday.
Right.
So-
All right, let's do that.
That's all, we just need 4 people here.
That's also very.
It's not too much. 23rd, yes or no?
Are we sure?
Yeah. 23rd, that.
It's okay.
We're not the agenda.
Okay,
Okay,
so we're gonna do the 23rd.
Yeah, I think we have a consensus on the
So
23rd.
the 23rd is going to be the, and if anything changes between there, we'll let you know.
Floyd, we know that, but I think we were asking the applicant.
We can make it on.
Okay, now,
6:30.
That's Floyd.
6:30. Tuesday, the 23rd, 6:30 will be our special meeting. And anything else that may, you know, come,
So, right,
okay?
so, yes, so,
All right, thank you. So now, I don't know.
For the date or no?
Now, the next thing on the agenda is, what is it? No, we did the app, the resolutions, right? Okay, take care. Okay, I'm gonna make sure I. It's what issues that's taking place here with the, escrow. Oh, wait a minute, is this the issue right? Yeah.
I'm ready to pass out.
October, I've been told, October, our normal day for October will take place on the 7th, on the 14th.
Was the holiday, another holiday? Well, for once I'm wrong, but.
It's all right. Listen, it's late, we're all tired.
Hello, stop it, come on. October, we have, our normal meeting for October would be on the 14th. But I've got a notice from the clerks that, the 13th is a holiday, and when there's a holiday on the
Right,
13th,
right.
it's a holiday, whatever day. Then their meeting moves into our date. Now, I think that's a code that needs to be rewritten, because they're the ones that displaced, why don't they
Yeah.
find another date? But their day moves into our day, now we have to find another day. Now,
or another place.
we can't, oh, that's a good idea, but we can't go to, Wednesday.
Good night, thank you.
Good night, because CBA is on Wednesday.
Yeah, you can't go to Thursday if you want to be there, cause I'm.
No, but it had been recommended to go ahead and have the meeting on the 14th at another location. Would y'all like to do that? I'll find
Yeah,
a
like the
location,
fire.
maybe the firehouse? Firehouse?
So the next day, different location,
Right,
that's fine.
okay, so we're gonna do a different location,
So the 14th, different location,
right,
okay.
okay. And we know it's gonna be the firehouse, more than likely, okay? If it changes from the firehouse, I'll let you own it,
You have to renotice it. You have to notice the meeting.
Right.
okay?
Okay.
Notes. Okay. Now, we have, okay, one of the things that we have to talk about here that's real important. I got a notice from the clerks about the escrow. It appears that we do have, applicants that are not paying, they're not paying attention, they're not paying. And then we have applicants where, you know, everything's 1 month behind. If we get a bill this month, it's really the last month.
Yeah.
So when we get the, correct me, Jean, if I'm right, because Jean is the escrow person. When we get the balances, they could be behind too. Because they could be balances that where the bills have not been paid yet. So we're thinking they got money and they don't. So the clerk sent me a big old letter about all of these applicants that didn't have money. And asked us to do something about it. So me and Jean went over each and read one of them. And we realized that even though we had given them a solution of the replenish, it wasn't enough money. Oh, because, yeah, but we're behind, right, exactly. So we want to move that away from bringing the vote to how much, just the vote to whether or not you will accept the, approve it. We wanna make the decision as how much, because we're looking at the back pay and the back, him and the clerks and me would like, okay, did you pay that? No, we didn't pay it yet, but we don't know that, so. Tonight, we have several, resolutions to replenish escrow, and they are quite a bit, but trust me, it's needed. And we don't wanna keep coming back and forth to an applicant, so these big applicants that are still in front of us, they need to,
So
they
can-
know, they don't know, they're gonna pay.
So can we vote on it as a group
No, we're gonna vote on them all tonight, we got all the.
Yeah, but as a group.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You know, so Reg, we gotta,
You want to vote for all?
I gotta read it, okay?
Read the amounts.
Because I have to.
well, sometimes we could just, you know, we just vote as a group, you know, approve all
Please
resolutions.
let me read this, okay?
Just
Okay.
read the company. and-
Yeah, 601 Union Street, $10,000 replenished.
Yeah.
Okay, I need a motion and I need a
Motion.
first and a second. Wait, let me get my pen, wait, my pen. I'm just as tired as you guys, trust me. Okay, it's Randall
And
and
Yeah.
second,
I'll second that.
and all in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? Okay, so full, so moved. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna read this side of the Okay, 59 North Front Street, which is Kite's Nest, we're asking for 25,000.
Wow.
All in favor? I need a motion. Motion,
I make the motion.
okay,
I'll second this.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
35 grand.
Okay, the boulevards, that's 117, 119. You know what the boulevards are, so we're asking them for 10. Now, the boulevards is no longer in front of us as a application to us. They're doing legal and technical things,
I make a
but
motion.
they're being charged for that. So 10,000,
I
can
make a
I have a
motion.
motion?
I second it.
Okay. And, okay, all in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Okay, Colorado Dock, 25,000,
I make the motion.
I'll second it.
okay? Who said it?
I did.
Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? So moved.
He's
Okay,
got the next
the,
motion.
21 North Sixth Street, even though we approved them last week. We approved them, but they still got money that they haven't paid, so 1,500.
I make the motion.
You make the motion,
And I can still second.
who's second? Dr. Young,
Who's 21 more six?
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and that's it for, and you all agreed that, oh, wait a minute, here's one more, shoot. Oh, now, Mill Street is almost, you know, they're finished in front of us, but they're doing technical stuff. So we're asking them for 10,000,
I make the motion.
okay?
Second,
Randall.
They're not done.
All in favor?
they still.
Any opposed? Okay, 6-12 Hudson Avenue, which is probably an application we know nothing about, because they're not in front of us anymore, but they're doing technical stuff. We're asking them for 10,000.
I make the motion.
Make the motion.
I'm so.
Dr. Young, all in favor? Any opposed? Nobody opposed? Okay, great. Oh, and one more, and that's it. 726 Columbia Street, which is the restaurant and theater, we're asking them for 25,000, they're in front of us, and they're running out of money constantly.
I make the motion.
Okay, Veronica,
No, second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I thank you for that, and we'll be coming to you for now on with the resolutions like that. Anything you have to say, Gene, about bills? We have no bills. At this session.
It's already voted on, is it? If they're not in front of us, so we don't have any business with them,
Well, we did.
why are we charging them that bill?
Because they're doing technical and legal stuff. And they're being charged they're always being charged by the consultant and the attorney.
So even if they've been approved with
Right, right.
conditions, they still are working with our consultants to meet those conditions.
Right.
Well, should that be between the applicant and them?
No, it's still within us.
We have to collect
The
them.
consultants don't bill it directly, we do.
Okay, all right, so that's it. We'll talk next week about another thing, which would be doing these resolutions for approval. Right now, people are not coming back to us to get their stamp plans and stuff like that, so we'll talk about that. So can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, and I wanna thank you guys for.
I thank you. Everybody.
What's your step here?
Wait, nothing.
You probably want to break it into.
Yeah, that's it.
Good night. Good night.
What's that? Oh, that's.
Pictures.
Oh, that's for pictures.
Yeah. If I need to see it again, I'll find.
I,